All right. Hey, everybody. Dapper Dinosaur here. We got Cheshire here. We got Erica. So this is one of the best panels
Where the hell
out
am
there. Oh.
Sorry, I didn't deliver my wine port.
Oh, well, that's a very important aspect of the show.
I'm starting this chat off right.
Hey, you know what? I'm never going to be the one to complain about a wine pour.
I have a beer waiting for me.
A beer? Oh, man. Well, I have some amazingly cheap rum. So
the best kind.
Yeah. Well, that's why I douse it in a bunch of Coca-Cola.
That's a good solution.
Yeah, the thing about cheap rum is that like you put it in some Coke and it just gives a nice little hint of like spices and vanilla flavor to the Coke, and then it's done. You don't have to worry about it.
Carbonation too. You
Yeah, exactly.
That's the one thing that's why I like having rum and ginger ale.
Ooh.
Oh, that is a good one. Hi, Luca. So basically, this whole stream started because it was requested in my comments. So I do read all the comments, and I do respond to almost all of them. I try to respond to all of them, but sometimes things escape. And basically, someone just said, "Oh, Chesh and Erica need to be on your stream," and I said to myself, "Well, they are some of my favorite YouTube people that I know, that I've met, that I've talked to. And so, yeah, why not? I mean, I get on pretty well with both of them, I think. Or maybe they're just humoring me. I don't know.
Well, it's the common denominator is the glasses, right? Cheshire the specs.
That's true. That is a common denominator. I hadn't thought about that.
I gotta get some new ones. These ones are really old and my prescription's out of date, but yeah, that involves like leaving the house and spending money, which are my two least favorite things to do.
Dude, specs are expensive too. Glasses are so pricey, and inevitably when I spend a lot of money on glasses, I always scratch them or lose them almost instantly.
Yeah.
But hair lasts forever.
Oh, there you go. I think what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to go get my eyes redone, like rechecked, get the new prescription, and then just order something online.
Oh, yeah. I've actually heard that's the best option.
I found a site that's apparently like sells them for like $60, but my family's also got like a Costco card, and apparently Costco is pretty cheap for buying glasses too. Yeah. So
I do mine at Sam's Club when I'm in the States, so it's always like, there you go.
Oh, there you go. And like the hell if I'm ever gonna get contacts, I just don't care to bother. I think though I might do laser surgery. I'm old enough now that they're not like, your body's still changing.
Yeah. I went in last time and I was like, I'm ready for LASIK. I've overcome the fears. I've watched enough, tutorial videos on like how it goes that I'm ready. I'm prepared. Hit me with the LASIK. And they were like, ooh, yeah, your eyes are still changing. So it's
I'm not going to research. I'm just going to be like, lasers? Hell yeah, stick those in my eyes. I want lasers in my eyes. Meanwhile, I'm completely misunderstanding what that means. I'm expecting to get lasers for eyes. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Bionic lenses, when in reality, they're just like slicing and dicing your cornea.
What I would not give to have robot eyes. You give me the option for robot eyes, I will take the option for robot eyes. Although I have heard that they're working on it.
So my dad, he's a radiologist, and he got his eyes over time have like deteriorated just because he spends all that time like looking at x-rays and shit like that, radioactive stuff. And so he recently got the like the lens transplant or whatever, where they put like the artificial lenses in.
Oh, it's so cool.
And dude, if you shine a light at him, it's like he's got a tapetum lucidum in the back. Yeah, they reflect back at you, and I'm always like,
so cool.
Does that
I want that,
for
but I want that, and I want it so it can be a computer screen, so I can do VR shit in my house. Like, give me it now. I love the future.
The future is the future is now.
The future is we live in the future. I want robot eyes. I want robot eyes that I can play Beat Saber in, and I want to be able to shoot zombies in my house.
We were just talking about Beat Saber like 5 seconds ago.
It's true, we were.
I miss Beat Saber. I used to play the hell out of that game. I don't have a VR system anymore.
We gotta start like a GoFundMe for Chesh to get like her entertainments reset up again.
Oh my god. That would be really expensive if we were actually going to go and get my entire collection, because that would be a lot. I have a Sega Game Gear. Like, don't fuck with me.
Okay, well, maybe just like an Oculus Go or something. Maybe we can start small.
What's the Vive?
The Vive.
Oh, the Quest. That's the one I'm thinking of. The Oculus Quest, the small one.
Yeah.
Well, relatively. It's relatively. It's
Well,
smaller
I
than
mean,
the other ones.
yeah, VR headsets are VR headsets, right?
Yeah. Well, what I want to kind of do is get once non sequiturs running again as like a celebratory non-sex running again. I'm gonna stream Beat Saber for the lulz.
Nice.
Hey,
Nice.
if you want, I can lend you my high-tech Game & Watch. So I've got my Game & Watch.
Man, the hottest gaming tech of like the 1987.
Exactly. We're talking real prime, technological advancement.
Hey,
To be fair, those games are fun.
1987 is more cutting edge than a lot of the quotations in the video I'm going through on my channel right now. Because it's like, oh, hey, Big Bang exploding the myth. Well, back in 1985, some guy said that we didn't know how stars form. I'm like, okay, well, here in 2020, 35 years later.
We've got this one guy over here explaining to me why he thinks the Earth is flat.
Well, okay, yeah, there's that too. But
insert Whitcomb and Morris reference to the Flood.
I have that book. I have the Genesis Flood. I'm looking at it right now. I can see it right now. The Genesis Flood with the sunset thing over the water on the cover.
Those wily Seventh-day Adventists coming in the early 1900s.
My favorite
back into the public consciousness.
So my favorite thing from that era is if you read Scientific Creationism by Morris, when he goes into the whole like sea salinity thing, he's got this table of like how long it would take to accumulate various salt components in the ocean, right? And one of them has an accumulation period of 100 years. And it's like he's already been going on about how we have to use, whatever's going to limit us to how young the Earth can be. It can't be older than that. So it's like, okay, well, your technique says that the Earth is 100 years old. It's in your table. It's self-defeating.
So the thing is, too, is that this is one of those deals where it's like, creationists don't need to be bringing up salinity as if it's something that helps their case. If they're going to be invoking a global flood.
I'm pretty sure nothing helps their case.
Yeah, that's not
one piece of like for the global flood that I found even remotely convincing or that helps them in any way. The closest thing I've ever read was an article about Mount St. Helens when Mount St. Helens blew, and everybody was like, oh, look how quickly all of this stuff happened. And it's like, those are not the same thing as these things. You're just getting them confused.
Dapper D, Colton was going off on that last time we had a stream like this.
I know.
Comparing sedimentary rock to ash layers, those things are not analogous.
I love this one from Tesla Ranger. Creationists haven't learned anything new in 35 years. Why would you assume they think anyone else has? It's so true.
You know what happens when you assume.
No one's done anything since the 80s. They gave science up back then. That's just how things are.
They were just like, we've learned enough, guys. Time to pack it in. Well,
I've got to send Dapper Dino.
Why
didn't I think of this sooner? I feel like I did think of it sooner, and I just forgot to tell you. So when I was, back in the day, when I was a youngin', a whole 2 years ago, when I was, not 17 and was only
you were 15, still 15. In high school.
I was given and watched a bunch of this person named Lawrence Tisdale, who did a big talk and had a DVD set series about paleontology and dinosaurs as a creationist.
Oh, yes. Yes, you need to send that to me.
Oh.
Is it a physical thing? Do you need to physically send it?
I have physical copies, I think.
Okay.
They're not technically mine. So I don't know if I'll be able to actually send them to you, but I'm betting I can probably find it. And if I can't find it, I could probably just do other things to get it to you somehow. I don't know how I would possibly do that, but I mean, it might be a thing.
I mean, I'm not asking that you...
My guy, that's not good for me. That's going to hurt my health.
Yeah, I think Erica might need a copy too, is what's going to happen here. Then she'll just have to come on. We'll have to have this whole gang come back together and talk about them as I play them through my totally real DVD player that I definitely own.
We should do a double date. We should do a double date with Bent.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that does sound like fun. We just got to make sure that it works for Bent's schedule, because Bent has a much more constrictive schedule. Because Bent's
going to get really constrictive soon.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But Bent is busy right now trying to find cancer in people. because that is what Bent does.
Aren't there dogs that do that? I'm kidding.
Well,
I'm sorry, Bent. I love you.
I've heard there are actually some very smart lizards that might be able to do it as well.
Well, Bent does it with a microscope and slides. So he helps so basically he goes on a procedure where they're going to take a biopsy.
Right.
And then he's the person in charge of letting the doctor know whether or not they've successfully completed the biopsy, because a lot of times they get a sample and he's just like, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
So, and then he, goes off.
Quality assurance over there.
Right.
Yeah.
Then the slide goes off to some prep techs who do the appropriate staining or whatever. And then he sits and looks through a microscope because he trained for, I think it was like several years. I don't remember exactly how long, but it was a while, to do nothing but identify cancer through a microscope. Oh. And then he gives the report to a diagnostician, I think. And then they're the ones who are legally able to say yep or no. But it turns out that they have a lower success rate than he does.
I should probably warn you. This is a long DVD series. It's like 5, I think. Like 5 individual DVDs.
Oh,
well,
God. It's Kent's lies in the textbooks all over again.
Oh my goodness, that is such
the
a long
lies
thing.
in the textbooks. Those textbooks.
Which reminds me.
I'm pretty sure he goes on a huge diatribe, if I'm remembering correctly. In my defense, I haven't watched it since I was 15, and that was 2 years ago.
That's good. Don't hurt yourself for longer than necessary.
Right. If I'm remembering correctly, he goes on a huge diatribe about how, just about Ramphorhynchoid.
Like Ramphorhynchoid pterosaurs?
Yeah. And then he also is like, when they introduce him at the beginning, they talk about how he's never lost a debate or something like that. God. And I'm like, I kind of want to bring him on a non-sec.
Do it. Everyone who says, "Oh, I've never lost a debate," is the kind of person who has never won a debate.
To be fair, I don't know if he's the one who wrote it. It might have been somebody else that did that for him.
Okay, that's fair.
In his granting a little bit of charity, I don't know.
Yeah, that's generous. That is
I'm being generous, yes.
Correct. So interestingly, before this, I was actually working on a script that is going to talk a bit about Ramphorhynchoid versus pterodactyloid pterosaurs.
Oh, really?
Ramphorhynchoid's cool.
Yeah. So the thing is that Ramphorhynchoid pterosaurs are actually an evolutionary grade. They're not actually a valid taxon, because some Ramphorhynchoid pterosaurs are more closely related to some pterodactyloid, or to all pterodactyloid pterosaurs, than they are to other Ramphorhynchoid pterosaurs. So pterodactyloid pterosaurs are probably a valid taxon, but they're nested within what would be Ramphorhynchoidea, which would just then be all of Pterosauria. So there's really no point, except that they have distinct body plans. So it's still kind of used as like this is a Ramphorhynchoid type pterosaur, even though that's not a valid taxon, because they all share certain biomechanics.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a weird little thing. For a while, they were thought of as being actual like taxa within Pterosauria, but subsequent phylogenetic analysis has kind of nixed that one. It's like, nope, Ramphorhynchoidea.
I have a question for you, actually. If I'm going to get you in touch with King Crocoduck, how do I do that?
I mean, my email is I'll just send you my email in text. Is
email
Dapper.
the best, or is Discord the best, or is because he's not on Twitter anymore?
Oh yeah, email is probably the best.
Okay.
Which actually reminds me, I got an email today, so looks like I currently have 2 more people who are interested in coming on for Leaving Earth Creationism.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And one of them, this is a bit of a reveal, one of them is my brother.
Oh,
so yeah.
Is your brother going to show his face, and are we going to actually have an idea of maybe what the Dapper Dino looks like behind the dinosaur?
We're getting a smaller dino.
It's a dinosaur. It's another dinosaur. It's another dinosaur with a color palette swap.
Yep.
Hey, there's already a dinosaur with a color palette swap. Color palette swap on my in my video catalog. If you look at What Good Is Half a Wing, I do Dino Attenborough comes up, and he's just the Dapper dinosaur with gray hair and a color palette swap.
Oh, that's so cute.
But I do my very best David Attenborough impression for it.
The Dino Attenborough approaches the screen with great care.
Yeah, I think if I manage to find that DVD set, what I'll probably do is I'll send it to Dapper Dino first, and then I'll send a copy to Logic, and then I'll send a copy to Paul, and then I'll send a copy to Crocoduck, and be like, here you go, guys, have fun.
Actually,
enjoy. That's not a blessing, Chesh. That is bestowing a curse upon all of them.
I mean, yeah, I'm a goblin. I don't know what you're expecting.
Fair.
A goblin who may or may not be a bard.
I like to say that people like to say that I'm cursing people, or that I'm engaging in what's the word
mischievous behaviors.
Yeah, or that what's the word? It starts with an E. It's instigating, which isn't an E, but that's the word.
Yeah, that's an I.
Yeah.
Chesh is thinking in French right now, where that letter is E.
It's gotta be.
Yeah. People like to think I instigate. I like to think I'm encouraging.
That does start with an E. That is an E word. There you go. I see what. Yeah, there was a confusion.
You so or my confusion. Yep. I got things backwards.
Dapper D, did you see recently the? Actually, you might have covered this in your Crocodilomorph video. I'm not positive, but they covered Sinusuchus and how Sinusuchus is almost for sure confirmed to be herbivorous, which is really neat. The way that they did it was they took the teeth, they did a 3D scan, and then they were like, holy shit, there are a lot of surfaces on this tooth. There's 20 surfaces on this tooth. You could roll it like a D20 and get an actual critical.
Nice.
So does that mean, can I get one of those teeth and paint numbers on it and use it?
It might be biased. You might want to strategically place your 20.
Oh yeah, see which
I
face
always
comes up
strategically place my 20s.
There's no other way to do it.
All right, so from Unholy Roast, who by the way, if you aren't already looking at Unholy Roast videos, go check out Unholy Roast. If you like his stuff, give him a subscribe. I've been in contact with him. Chesh actually put him in contact with me. So yeah, go check out Unholy Roast. Every single one of his videos makes me want to go out and buy a coffee. Every single one. Because every time he's the one who's the main focus, he's responding to a video or something, it's always these amazingly awesome pictures of coffee pours and people preparing coffee, and it's my God, dude.
He's also got the most adorable avatar.
Oh yeah, the little ghost, the steam ghost. It's amazing. Go check it out. Anyway.
Okay, hold on. I'm trying to go stop.
So your brother is leaving YEC. Nice. Was that you, or did he find his way out himself? So actually, I'm not entirely positive because we haven't talked a whole lot about it until fairly recently.
They're gonna find out on the stream. Whoa!
Basically, yeah. So right now we're thinking next. So right now it looks like it's going to be a week from tomorrow.
Dapper is gonna cry.
Well, I mean, I guess
his brother's gonna say something super sweet, and he's gonna cry.
Well, it's that's a distinct possibility. Actually, that could happen.
I'm a sympathetic crier. That's not just kidding. I'm dead.
Yeah,
predicting it now.
So a few weeks ago, my brother sent me a text message, and at first it was like, "Oh, hey, thanks. I got the the gift for the kids because I got my niece a what was it? I think it was a stuffed Tyrannosaurus or something, and I got her baby brother some baby toy, whatever. It's a baby toy. They're all the same. I don't know." I just get something that was oh, it was a toy. I don't know. It was probably blocks or something, whatever.
Some of them are cooler than others.
Well, mine are usually pretty well received. Right. Let's see. I think for the last, year or two, my sister's son, whenever he's going someplace and he's told he can only bring one or two toys, he consistently brings one of the ones that I gave him. So, yeah.
Okay. So are we gonna have to go to the dollar store and buy a toy Tyrannosaurus Rex and put glue a little tie onto him and give him a little hat?
Well, you might have to find a Ceratosaurus, which will be tough.
It could be difficult. I'm thinking instead that we give personalized toys. So Chesh give a goblin, and then I'll
there you go.
At Gibbon for $30 and get that because
I should 3D print it.
Oh, perfect.
He's already got 3D models.
Yeah, I can send a 3D.
That is true.
I have to learn how to export my models as STL files, but I'm sure it's a thing I can do. And we have a question from Beach Price, who welcome to the stream. It's always great to have you. Who is Dapper Dino's brother? So he basically has no internet presence. As far as I know,
Lucky bastard.
I know he has an Instagram.
Summer child.
Yeah, he has an Instagram. I don't think he has. I know he doesn't have a Facebook. I don't think he has Twitter. He has a blog that is only very rarely updated, and it's not really about him so much as it is about mixed drinks, because that's one of his hobbies is crafting cocktails.
I want to hang out with your brother now.
Yeah,
you had my
right?
attention. Now you have my curiosity.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm sure that I can plug that when he's on. But
You're already
he
plugging
is. I know. There's that. Although I have to remember what it's called, which I'm not remembering off the top of my head.
Cheshcraft.
My ultimate mixed drink is add fruit juice to it, and it's always bad. I don't know how I made this to be bad every time. It's consistently bad.
But he
Does
is
not like fruit juice.
Never. I always pick bad fruit juice. There's a fruit juice here that claims to have no sugar, and it's like a diabetic drink. Like, it's incredibly diabetes inducing is what I'm meaning to say. It's a terrible drink. I don't know why they sell it. I don't know who's buying it. I can only think that it must be like some kind of hyper sugar aware animal, like maybe bees. I'm not sure.
But my brother, so he is just sort of some of I'll give you sort of a quick thing. So he's a Marine Corps veteran. He was a drill sergeant at Ellis Island. So there's that. And right now he's a firefighter and EMT in the Ellis Island sort of area. And he's a bit nerdy. He's probably not as nerdy as the three of us are. But we do talk about Star Trek a lot together. So there's that. But that's probably his nerdiest thing is Star Trek. But yeah, like I said, he doesn't have a huge web presence, so it's hard for me to plug much of what he does because it's just like he doesn't come online much. But
to be fair, Star Trek is pretty nerdy.
It is. But yeah, he sent me a text, and then as we kept talking, he started saying like, "Oh, hey, I've been really enjoying a lot of your videos," and I'm thinking like, "Well, that's
here we go. We go.
That's interesting because the thing is, I don't talk about much of this with my family because, well, I mean, obviously, right?
Yeah, sure."
So, and then he keeps going like, "Oh yeah, this is really cool." And so then I got a text from him last night, and I was busy, and I didn't even look at my phone until like 9 my time, which is like 11 his time. Yeah, he's in bed. But then earlier today, yeah, we started talking. I was just like, "Hey, you want to be on Leaving Young Earth Creationism?" And he's just like, "Sure." I'm like, "Okay, let's set it up."
Done. Now you've got him trapped.
Yeah, we're gonna make sure we have a good time for next Thursday. Looks like it's probably gonna be 1 p.m. Eastern, which will be 9 a.m. Pacific. So it'll be a bit of an early one, but my European fans will be on board, I think.
That's me.
Exactly.
Well, not for much longer.
Well, next Thursday you'll still be in Europe.
No, I'm more speaking of that's more of a Brexit dig than anything else.
Oh, right. Well, I mean geographically.
Yeah.
Although I did see a tweet that something was like, "So after Brexit, where's England going to be?" It's just like, "Aw, you poor thing."
Boy. It's going to physically pick itself up.
Right. It's just going to move into the South Pacific. It's better weather.
The tsunamis will be devastating. Yeah. I'm pretty sure shit like that happened during the flood, though, you guys. That's catastrophic plate tectonics.
It is.
That's what I'm saying. It's gonna straight up, gonna just stand up and then reach down and pick it up.
And it's nice little,
it's those giants that all live underneath the Earth's crust.
Hey, there are plenty of them in Scotland. They thrive up there.
Yeah,
what was it? I think it was.
Turn a light on. Sorry, 1 second. It's getting dark in here.
I think it was like 2 years ago, Greenland actually hired a ferry expert to go try and like convince the ferries to be okay with a highway going through their territory.
Thank God.
And I was just like, wow, that's okay, sure, why not?
You can imagine where we would be if they hadn't appeased the Fae.
Well, hey, you know what? My Dungeons and Dragons group knows because they decided, oh, hey, there's a little portal through the Feywild through this tree. Let's go through it. And so they go through it, and they're like, "Oh, hey, look, a pixie city. Let's hang out for the better part of a day." I'm like, "All right." You come back. It's a month later. Your farm is burned to the ground. The fields are salted, and you don't know what's going on because you spent a day in a pixie city. You idiots.
I DM'd a campaign at one point where they were determined that something I had said offhandedly indicated that there was treasure at the bottom of the lake. And so the entire campaign became dedicated to somehow reaching the bottom of the lake, and I was throwing everything I could at them to be like, no, back to the main quest. Move away from the lake.
See, that's when you just put a black dragon down there and be like, oh, there's a black dragon, it eats you.
I'm
sorry, guys. Well, yeah, but red ones aren't going to live at the bottom of the lake.
That's true.
But black dragons will definitely live at the bottom of the lake.
What are they? Bog dragons? Swamp dragons? Something like that, right?
So, they're mostly swamp dragons, but they're basically, if I remember correctly, they're the only chromatic dragon that has water breathing.
Oh, wow. Okay. It's been quite some time since I didn't even get to I couldn't bring very many books with me. I left all my manuals and shit at home. I haven't played D&D in like a year.
I lost all my manuals in the move and people moving all of my shit behind.
So are you saying we need another GoFundMe?
Okay, listen. If you guys want to know how much money essentially it would cost to replace all of my stuff that I lost, you want a rough estimate?
Oops, that's not what I meant to do.
Girl. I really don't, just because it's going to bum me out, because I'm about to ship all my stuff here in like a month or so back to the United States. And so when I do ship everything back, I keep telling Luke, I keep being like, 100% this box is going to be at the bottom of the Atlantic. There's no chance that this box makes it back. All my good shit is in it. It's not going to reach the States. There's no way. So I don't need that curse upon me, Chesh, and I know how you do.
All right, so
to be fair, it wasn't a shipping issue that my shit got lost in. It was not a shipping. I'm
convinced it was in close proximity to you that caused it to happen. The unlucky goblin.
So Unholy Roast brings up something. Real talk, we should do an online D&D campaign. Chesh, I think we should work on something for that.
Oh lordy, I think we should. We just have to. I'm kind of stuck in the middle of like 3 different things.
Yeah, I know. And I think maybe we can just do some planning until like we figure out like the non sequitur thing gets like a solid schedule going and stuff.
Yeah, we have a good idea, a good rough idea going on in the background of like how often and like when we're probably going to be streaming at. But unfortunately, I don't know how much work is going to need to be going on in the background intermittently between the actual shows themselves. So until I really have a better idea of what the workload is going to be, I don't want to commit to anything. But I love the idea. I really want to.
Phil, what's the deal with the non sequitur show and the two of you guys? You guys.
Well, Steve and Chesh. I will probably be on, but I'm not hosting, so.
Right. Chesh, that is sick. I've actually never met Steve. How is he? He seems like a cool guy.
He's an asshole. That guy.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Roasted.
I know, right? So, yeah, Steve, from my interactions, Steve has always been great to me, but I can also see why he rubs people the wrong way sometimes.
He always seemed completely pleasant to me, but I suppose
he is. I'm just being a dick.
No. Yeah, I could tell. You seem quite fond of him. I imagine that he's probably quite. He kind of fits the. I'm trying to think of the persona that.
Yeah.
That I want to live here, like the grumpy old man with the heart of gold.
He's not really that grumpy either. That's funny. I read that comment.
I figured that's what you were laughing at.
Yeah, damn, I thought I made a good joke, dude. Come on, don't put me down like that.
I told Steve last week that I was grabbing Chesh. I was stealing Chesh from him for Wednesday, or at least part of Wednesday. So Steve knew. He knew. But so
drama.
Yeah, that's yeah.
But So essentially, Steve is a good guy. He means well. He doesn't always come across very well. I've noticed that the main problem that he has usually is that he doesn't come across in text very well. Like he comes across in person well, but he doesn't come across in like on Twitter and in text very well. He also kind of uses Twitter a little bit as a dumping ground. So like.
Twitter's already a dumping ground.
Right, that's what Twitter
exactly.
is.
No, exactly. So he'll be having if you're trying to have a serious conversation with him on Twitter, it depends on the day. Yeah, so but he's getting better at it. He's gotten a lot better at it just in the time that I've known him. Mostly because first off, commas. He's using commas more often. Oh. And secondly,
that's a huge plus.
Smiley
just
faces.
Just like the Swedish flag.
Send people smiley faces. People love smiley faces.
Yeah.
They do. The thing is they work on every level. Genuinely happy, passive aggressive, or ironic. All three levels.
Sarcastic, yeah. Sassy. I have one. I'm going to type my favorite one that I use all the time in the chat.
Okay, I want to see it. Hold on. I'm awaiting anxiously.
Oh, that's a good emoji.
That's one of my favorites.
Oh wait, live comments maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Ooh, that one delivers some like 2012 vibes to me.
Oh yeah, it's an old one. People don't use it as much anymore. An old one that people used to use too is this one. It's the Kappa face. So it's that one. And so you can make it this instead, because this is fun. Now it's an angry Kappa.
Oh, I'm with you. I go for the classic colon parenthesis. That's my
It's a fast one, yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Ooh, that is a good one too. Yeah, that is a good one.
I like this one.
I like that one.
And I also like or like one eye. Or like
Dapper
this,
Dino, where you come to get your new
that one.
your new emojis.
I like the one that's just a flat underscore.
See, I like to whip out XD every once in a while too, just to really send someone astrally projecting out of their body. And they're like, oh my God.
It's just like the cat one. So you can just
the cat one. Yeah, the cat one puts me completely back in time.
Angry cat one.
Except it shows up as an actual emoji
that
now.
one shows up as a legit emoji.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Modern technology is for the birds.
I just put extra additional spaces and things.
Ooh, wait.
So,
Yeah,
a really funny one is like if you do the angry one that I did before, but you put a bunch of spaces and then you put it. Oh, I didn't do the spaces, you bastard! No! Let's try it like this. Oh, I did it a little bit, not as much.
It was a little. Come on, that's good enough, right?
Nice.
Nice.
Oh.
Ooh, yeah, I do like that one.
Ashcott doesn't have time for this shit. The alphabet took 10 years. Fair
I've
enough.
been considering. So there's like a running joke now that if I ever have a child, like in my inner circles, like my more personal circles, where just people are now like offline type stuff, where people are like, if you ever have a child, you must name it Murphy. And also, I should also, and I might actually do this, is if I ever do have a child, I think I'm going to teach them the alphabet backwards.
Oh,
so
very healthy.
So instead of A B C D E F, it's Z Y X W.
You're just gonna mean the living hell
Well,
out
it's
of
not
your
gonna.
child.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that's not as bad. At least I was gonna teach them the letters correctly. At least it was actually going to be Z. It was actually going to. That's not what I was gonna do for colors. I was gonna show them the color purple and call it orange.
I like the idea of hardening the child by essentially teaching them like old school myths and fairy tales. So like you tell them the story about like the Selkie or like Hansel and Gretel where they get eaten by the witch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, the Little Mermaid. Yeah, the Little Mermaid commits suicide at the end. Good night, son.
She turns into sea foam and the child's like, is that the end of the story? And you're like, that's life.
Yup. The prince lives forever after with the sea witch. Probably not all that happily because she sounds like a bitch.
The evil queen gets her eyes pecked out by corvids. Sleep tight. Let me tuck you in.
The whole thing would be an experiment. Poor Murphy.
Helios, but you know what?
That's just trolling her child before they have a chance to get wise to her handing. They'll learn fast, I'm sure, or slowly because I ruined them.
If you don't ruin the child, are you even parenting?
I mean, maybe.
You all right there, Erica? Too much wine?
No, I coughed up a popcorn seed.
Ooh,
I love the table flip guy. The table flip guy is that's an old school favorite of mine.
Oh, that is a good one.
So I think we should look a little bit at this video because it's really bad and it's only 8 minutes long.
I'm all ears. I'm ready to
Let's see what happens.
Is this that orange peel guy?
It is the orange peel guy but it's him in his I think, more entertaining version because he's got this little fast-talking cartoon guy, but then he's got like himself just being angry in front of a camera, and it's that version of him is really bad.
I've never seen that version. I've seen him talking fast. He's not actually the worst one that I've ever watched.
No, he's not.
Why is there can somebody please explain to me why I'm seeing a purple Bill Cosby and who I think is Shaft maybe, as well as the Wendy's girl?
I'm hoping that comes up, but I'm not sure.
The Wendy's girl like runs the meme scene like probably 9 months ago, right?
Yeah, Wendy's Twitter was on fire.
Wendy's Twitter is lit.
Yeah,
I love Wendy's Twitter.
Yeah, it's sort of amazing.
Hey, Wendy's, I'm at McDonald's for breakfast. What should I get? Ow.
Wendy's Twitter is so passive aggressive. You can't help but want to. If Wendy's,
that's not passive. That's active aggressive. That's just aggro.
Wendy's Twitter is sort of worded as to like reach through your screen and just absolutely deck you with a mallet.
I love it. It's beautiful.
All right, here we go. Ready?
Greetings, friends.
Yes.
In celebration of the fact that
hear
the
it?
Thursday Night Nachos Defining Evolution series is now going to be up on the Creation Club website at thecreationclub.com.
If you can hear it, give a thumbs up.
This special presentation of the summary of the entire series. To check out the series, you can find it at the Creation Club starting now.
Chilling.
Yeah.
A bit of orange, not orange
The
peel.
epic Evolution Fail slideshow.
So we're going to see all the ways evolution fails, guys. It's going to be great. Oh,
I'm excited.
and for 10 euros, thank you very much, Luca. A little gift for a great stream. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
I mean, does a platypus count as an evolutionary fail?
I
what
would
are
say
we
it's
classifying?
I would say that's an evolutionary success, but what do I know?
So anything that's gone extinct it would be considered an evolutionary fail.
I guess you could say that, but I think he's going to go with a much more memey interpretation, like, oh, evolution said this thing, fail.
Oh, probably.
I love it.
I'm being pedantic.
I hope this video was released like in the past year because the idea of saying fail to someone as an actual like
In 2020, ironically. Glorious.
Greetings, my friends, and welcome to the very first and sure to be remembered as historic presentation of the epic Evolution Fail slideshow. Subtitled, If You Understand Evolution, Then You Know Why It's Wrong. And then subtitled, Chuck D and the New Monkey Band. Justin Runner was your friends here at abitoforange.com that brought you
I like
the
this
world's
guy. He's
first
funny.
clear
He
and
is.
useful definition for Darwinian evolution. The definition of evolution is created by coming to a clear understanding of what evolution is and what story it intends to tell.
See, I almost
Did he
agree
just
there.
describe to us what a definition was?
Basically, that's the thing. He's like, yeah, what evolution is should tell you the definition. Although, my goodness, this is a great slide already.
So
But they're just lines on paper.
is anybody else getting serious Terrence and Phillip vibes from the voice here?
A little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, though,
I'm getting serious vibes.
this is so much better than him being in front of the camera and being angry. Because if you want to see the other version of him, I have a series. It's 3 parts, so it's pretty short. It's called Eating a Bit of Orange, and the thumbnail is my avatar eating oranges by like the bunch.
Yeah.
And
I like the Campbell's soup reference. I hope he's getting AdSense for that.
I like too that the 3 examples of peak male performance are human guy, wolf, and cabbage.
Well, hey, you know what? That's Captain Kirk. That's some pretty peak performance right there.
That's fair.
Yeah. Remember when that, like, what was it? Orange lady was like, "What is love?" And he was like, "Oh, I'll show you, Orange lady from the planet where there's no love."
Were you there in the chat when I was talking about how Donald Trump is just Zap Brannigan?
It's true. Like, if you read Donald Trump's voice, if you read his tweets with Trump.
I want Donald Trump to show up at his next, sort of addressal of the union or whatever, and start talking about velour on his skin.
He's gotta have that little short onesie on that goes to like.
Oh
here.
yes.
He gets up there and he's like, "America can beat Iran. You just have to hide in the barrel, like the Wile E.
I didn't invent Trump's tariffs. I just enforced Trump's tariffs.
I'm Zap Brannigan.
Mike Pence, I have a very sexy learning disorder. What do I call it? Pence is like,
Sexlexia.
Oh my god, Mike Pence's kiff. It just gets better.
Darwinian Tree of Life. The Darwinian Tree of Life is the history of all life on Earth, according to Darwinian evolution.
Yeah, kind of.
In order to grow this tree...
Okay, I think we just had to talk about this. What even is this? So we got rock, soup, bacteria, a modern earthworm, a modern goldfish, what looks like a modern lizard. So already we've gone wrong in the first thing. We've gone wrong, and the thing is, it's like, are you saying that squirrels evolved from lizards? Because spoiler alert, they did not.
I think you're also running into one big problem right at the beginning, and it is the rock to the soup.
Well, yeah, oh my goodness.
There's always the rock to the soup, and there's always the I understand the law of monophyly, followed by a direct contradiction of the law of monophyly. Every time. Never fails.
The thing is, like, okay, like the rock and the soup are obviously just
that one legitimately that one just bothers me because it's so like it's not like even a little bit wrong. It's so like I get the misuse of using modern things. I understand that misuse. I get where that's coming from. Rock to soup though.
Here's the thing too. Kent is always the one who's coming out here, and I'm assuming there are going to be some Hope-and-isms out and about, as there always is.
I mean, rock to soup is already one of them, so...
No, rock to soup is already one of them. That's exactly what made me think of it. Mm-hmm. And I really resent the idea that going from soup to bacteria is an improvement, which Kent always, supports the idea that, evolution is always improving in the grand scale of our, at least modern ecology, when that isn't necessarily the case.
Yeah.
But the thing is Campbell's tomato soup is the ultimate life form. You don't get higher than that.
That's fair. There's also and there's also a whole other there's a whole additional bit to that where it's like, well, what are you deciding is successful or what is a conclusion? So because you might argue that a raptor, the dinosaur, is way better than a chicken. However, if you look at population growth, there's a hell of a lot of chickens. Yeah, so what do you count as being successful?
There's more chickens than there ever have been in the entire family that raptors belong to, the Dromaeosauridae. At no point did their numbers ever meet the current chicken numbers. So maybe chickens are better. I don't know.
I also really dislike that they get this wrong all of the time, and it is is calcium a rock? What are you considering to be a rock?
Like, what about, like, what was it? I think Aaron Ross said it in his Kent Hovind discussion on non-sec, and it was like, is say frozen oxygen or liquid oxygen, like, are those rocks? And Kent was like, well, no. And he said no. It's like, well, then there are things that aren't rocks. Being made of matter isn't the same as being a rock.
The thing that someone actually pointed out to me the other day was that in my conversation, at least with Ken, and I don't entirely remember exactly how it went with you, Dapper D, but with mine, I went back and rewatched it because someone had commented that he exclusively used analogies in our conversation. And I was like, that can't be. Surely not everything was an analogy.
I don't know.
Fucking everything, dude.
You will notice that if you're... sorry, who are you talking about with?
Kent Hovind, yeah.
I am willing to bet you money. I am willing to put money on the line to say that Kent Hovind did not take you seriously because you're a woman.
Oh, I can... Yeah, there's a really high chance.
You know what, though?
That's why he only used analogies.
There is credit where credit is due. There was less condescension than I thought there was going to be.
He didn't tell you to go back and do makeup tutorials?
Did I tell you guys, were you guys around when I said the situation that I would accept a debate from Kent Hovind was?
Oh, what is that? I don't think I do.
So what I said is, like, I am willing, because somebody said, I think it was Helios, looking at you, Helios, said that somebody said I should debate Kent Hovind, and I was just like, excuse me? Hell no. And then I thought about it for a minute, and I was like, all right, I've got one, I will do it under these conditions. And the condition is that he has to debate from my position, and I'm going to debate from his position.
Oh, that would actually be interesting.
Incredible, actually.
Yeah, you might actually provide the best evidence for young Earth creationism that has ever been provided by anyone.
What are you talking about? I'm just going to run his script at him.
Every time he says something you don't like, just be like, well, that's cool, but the Bible says.
Oh, man.
Every time. And then request too that on your second debate, you'll only debate him if you can have control of his mic, because that's what he wants with RF.
That's one of his most common requests is like, well, I'll debate him if I can control his mic to mute him. It's like, that's not how any of this ever works.
I'm okay with that. I'll let Ken Hoven mute me. Do it. Do it, coward.
You won't. You won't.
You won't. You won't, because I'm gonna be be repeating your script.
That's one thing that I've noticed is like at this point, unless you're really careful in your debate with Ken Hoven, if you want to debate Ken Hoven, you could just get an audio recording of any of his previous debates.
Correct.
And play the appropriate part, and then there you go. That's why the best ones I think are the ones like Erica's and mine and Conspiracy Cats, where we were like, nope, we're not gonna deviate on the top. Like, there's a question. This is the topic. I don't care about all these other extraneous things. We're gonna talk about the topic. Like in my first rebuttal, where he talked about like Darwin and finches and all this other crap. I'm like, I don't care. You got it wrong, but it doesn't matter. We're talking about dinosaurs and whether or not birds are dinosaurs. We're gonna stick.
Yeah. Mine was very similar. We're talking about paternity tests and the nature of how that's okay with Kent to use paternity tests in court for human relationships between one and another human, but all of a sudden, the entire, nearly identical process, if even more complicated, albeit a bit more complicated between species, were used. That kind of ancestry is not allowed. And I think like the third or fourth time that I pushed him on it, he just starts fucking talking about the Green Mile. I couldn't believe it. I was
That sounds about right.
I was like, is he talking about Stephen King's The Green Mile right now?
I mean, it's a good movie. It's a good movie. I'll give him that.
Well, there's a couple of reasons why I would want to actually force Kent to debate from the other side. It would mean he would actually have to know what the other side is.
Oh yeah. Well, that's I think what the problem is going to be with this video is it's like this guy doesn't know what evolution is.
Oh, yeah.
Which is I think why we should. I'm going to get going with a few more things, but this slide is awful.
Darwinian evolution must be for.
What was that, Erica? Sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just going to take Kent for more.
One, evolution is something to do with living things.
I agree. You got this one, buddy.
Well, that's really interesting since you're just contradicting your own slide since you started with a rock, you jackass.
But hey, he got point one right. We'll give it to him. I'm going to give it to him.
Being alive has to do with living things.
Right. Yeah. So you know what? Well.
Wow.
Good job, buddy.
2,
something.
Evolution is something about life changing over time.
Yeah. Okay.
Evolution is something that's intended to explain the origin of different kinds of plants and animals.
No. Origin. The word origin is a problem there.
Yeah. So, all right, I'm going to be back real quick. So you two take that one away, and I will be right back.
After you.
Okay, Chesh. We'll play a little game here. Okay. The question is, what is the origin of life called? Right. And then you would respond with.
Oh God, you're putting me on the spot.
Oh, sorry. It's okay.
It's abiogenesis. Abiogenesis. Yeah.
Boom. And it's quite funny because if I remember correctly, and you said you were 17, right?
Yeah, something like that. I'm not actually 17. It's just a running joke on the internet.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's just a running
Well,
joke.
how old are you?
29.
Hell yeah! Awesome.
Yeah,
you look great for your age.
Oh, thanks. I'll be 30 this year in the summertime.
Yeah, that's a big birthday. I turned 24, and my birthdays have been increasingly depressing since 21.
Aww,
but
that's too bad.
Yeah. So if I remember correctly, right, in a biology high school textbook, there's entirely different sections from the origin of life, abiogenesis, to evolution, because evolution can't occur unless you already have living things.
Correct.
Abiogenesis concerns the origin of life, typically from, if we're going with RNA world, strands of RNA and amino acids, right?
Right.
So what's this, as you said so eloquently earlier, what's this jackass talking about, right?
Yeah. Well, you run into a problem where what is abiogenesis not? You notice how it's not evolution?
Exactly.
It's not part of it at all.
And you notice, too, they distinctly put in the word kinds, because I'm sure that's going to come up later.
Oh, yeah, different kinds of plants and animals.
The concept of kinds out. I've never seen someone so eager to put in a word with no definition into the conversation.
Yeah, no, it's
It
so
happens every time.
I'm kind of mildly annoyed by the term something because it's not something. It's pretty specific.
Exactly, and I mean we're talking about simple prokaryotes, right? Like that leave stromatolites in the rock, right? So
Yeah,
it's
a simple prokaryote is a worm, a modern worm.
we're talking about very, very, very simple organisms here
Yes.
that we only even know about because of their impact on geological phenomena, right? I mean,
Right.
these guys are small but numerous, and evolution can occur on them because, hey, cool, they're already alive. But the fact that this guy hasn't even done a cursory Google search of what evolution even is a little bit disconcerting to me right off the bat.
You're a little bit familiar with art, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I do. I'm not as good as you.
Well, that's neither here nor there. Do you know what a duck looks like?
Sure. Yes.
If I asked you to draw a duck, how accurate do you think you could be without looking at a duck?
I know how
looking at a
accurate I
reference?
would be, and it's awfully inaccurate.
I could be accurate enough that you would be able to say that is some kind of waterfowl.
That's what this definition is.
Yeah. Actually, that reminds me of something I tell people. I tell people like, oh, you think you know what things are until you try to draw them, and then you realize how little you know what anything looks like.
Yep, especially if you're not actually an artist. Like, I spend a lot of my time actually looking at things.
Yeah.
So not necessarily on the computer. What I mean is more like if I'm sitting in a room, or if I'm sitting at let's say I go to the mall for whatever reason and dare to leave my house. I'm sitting at the mall in the food court and I'm people watching. I'm not trying to get in on whatever they're doing, but I'm looking at them and I'm seeing how they're moving. I'm noticing what clothes they're wearing. I'm noticing how they're walking. I'm noticing like, oh, their hair is this way and that person's hair is this way and why they might. And so I'm actually looking at the way someone moves, the way someone talks, the way something looks. But on average, people are doing that. It's beneficial for me to do that. It's beneficial for me to do that because it applies to my job.
Sure. I mean, the thing too about this that bothers me immensely is that they're already starting with the divergence of plants and animals, right? Where it's like
we're saying origin and then jumping to plants and animals.
Yeah, right. The origin word is a bit of a tricky one because it really, like Erica said, it should be divergence.
Yes, because the thing is, if we didn't have a separate abiogenesis for plant cells and animal cells, in fact, it's very likely that they existed as a single entity, so to speak, just a prokaryote and then perhaps a eukaryote, for a billion even years. I think I'm not sure. Dapper D, do you know when the first eukaryote shows up in the fossil record? Because I know prokaryotes are 3.8.
In the fossil record, like with unambiguous fossils of
let's say
eukaryotes?
Yes, for argument's sake.
I don't think there's any actual unambiguous eukaryotes until we get to like the Ediacaran.
Really?
Yeah, because one of the problems with unambiguous eukaryotes is that, like, if you're looking for single cells, you're just not really going to find a single cell eukaryote fossil very likely. But we know that things like Charniodiscus and things like that, well, I mean, they had to have been eukaryotes. So, also, okay. I think I missed a $5 super chat from Helios575, unless someone else read it out.
Nope.
Okay,
we're
so
that for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your super chat, Helios. Debate Kent, but only respond with sound bites of Iron Ra, responding to the points that Kent brings up. I am willing to bet you wouldn't need anything else.
So much.
Did you know Iron Ra did a video like that? It's called Kent's Failure to Fix His Mistakes. And except for one clip of Steve doing it, it's all just previous clips of him responding to the same points that Kent is making.
I haven't watched that one yet. It's on my watch list. My watch list is getting
hilarious. I didn't know that's what it was when I first opened it, and I was thinking, why does this all sound familiar? And then about a third of the way through, I realized what was going on.
So two things. One, I just looked it up, Dapper D, and it looks like the first eukaryotic fossil evidence that we have is from about 2.7 billion years ago.
Oh, hey, that's pretty good. I wasn't sure.
I wasn't sure either, which is why I asked. I thought that their split had been documented in the fossil record.
Oh, it was a really long time ago that the split must have happened.
Sure, yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Because the thing is proto-U isn't nearly as bad as U to multicellular.
Right.
But the second thing is concerning Kent Hovind. I saw just in the most I think it was with Professor Dave. Yes, Professor Dave.
That was, I think, his most recent debate, or at least his most recent creation evolution. He did one on end times the other day, but I don't care about that. So.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's not. That's neither here nor there. But his talk with Professor Dave too. He actively was comment. Oh, what was it that I literally forgot because I've had too much wine. He mentioned something that he's been corrected on, like, oh yeah, okay, so fossils are just bones in the dirt, right? And then he's like, well, people have been saying now that it doesn't matter about the single fossil, it matters about the population. And that's just basically he's implying that it's been a response to his incredible rebuttal to the idea of, oh no, now that the Kent Hovind, the single fossil can't produce offspring.
He likes to say that he's like, people are like, no one has ever said that. He's like, well, maybe that's because of my seminars. Like, no,
God.
It's not because of your damn seminars.
His whack and atheist, where he's like, yeah, they haven't done one of these in so long because they were featured on Whack and Atheist. I'm like, oh, Kent, you ridiculous guy, you.
I know. Erica, do you have any more planned debates?
I'm working with James right now for 2 separate ones. One is going to be with Singing for Truth on genetic entropy, which is not a thing, but Standing does subscribe to the idea.
Wait, he actually agreed to a debate with you on that, because he sort of backed down on one with me about that. So
he didn't agree. He asked. Like, when
really?
He's underestimating you because you're a woman.
Well, that could be it.
What I asked for was Age of the Earth. I said, let's do Age of the Earth because my I know a decent amount about deposition, and particularly of limestone. It's like my favorite mineral because I think limestone in and of itself is the problematic element for the flood. But I was like, instead of talking about that, he really wanted to do genetic entropy. So I was like, well, it's just going to, it's probably going to be replacing Darwin, right? Like just replacing Darwin, the book, in debate format. And so I thought, okay, well, why not? And then I'm trying to see if Kent is available for a conversation on Age of the Earth. And very, very tentatively, I might be doing something on Flat Earth.
Mr. P is kidding, Dapper.
Oh, then I'll unhide him.
Yeah, no, that's a joke. He's not. Me and Mr. P talk in the background.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not kidding. That was like an actual threat. I was like, no, that's not okay.
Sorry, no, he is not. He's a little bit of like, he's one of those like.
My bad.
Yeah,
I did not know.
You're
I did not know. If that had been something else, then I would like, nope, that's not okay.
Yeah, no, I figured I'd let you know.
Thanks. Sorry, Mr. P.
Thanks for looking out for me.
Yeah, no, like I tolerate a certain amount of trolling, but like normally actual threats to guests are not an okay thing.
Dapper D's coming out with the sickle-shaped claws on the
I know, right?
Ready to go.
Would Erica be interested in debating orange peel over here on non sequitur?
Ooh.
Oh, for sure. I literally did. What would be the subject matter?
I don't know, whether or not oranges evolved, or like how did oranges like get peels?
100%. Hey, here's the hint. They existed for quite some time after the evolution of deciduous trees and flowering plants and fruiting bodies, and then humans made them easier to peel.
So we can debate the origin of oranges.
Yes.
Perhaps the origin of oranges. I'm just saying. It could be.
Y'all ready for number 4.4?
Hell to the
yeah.
Here we go.
Oh, we might get a minute through this.
4. Evolution tells a story wherein all living things arose through past common ancestors, until, far back enough in time, we reach a first universal common ancestor, making the history of life on Earth a big tree of life.
I'm actually going to give him that one. Yeah, that's broadly accurate.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
Or, going forward in time, it explains how simple things like bacteria became worms, which became fish, which became lizards, which became rodents, which became primates.
And then he just drives it off a cliff.
So 2 things, right? Obviously, we're all groaning because things don't become another thing, right? But then we're also debating my biggie as a gentle and modern primate, that primates and humans, humans are within the primate order, right? You can't get around that. If my creationist challenges give me one reason why humans should be set apart from all of the other primates, and there isn't one. It's just a lame version of Aaron Ross' cool phylogeny challenge. Mine is the lone kid that's at the pep rally being like, hey, fucking give me one reason. It's not going to happen. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, and I personally find that to be quite a cool relationship, but I guess not everybody does.
And the thing is, like, you could be accurate, like, with this, right? You could say with something like worms, like, you could go with, like, okay, so you could say, you know, eukaryotes diverged from within what would have been prokaryote grade ancestors, and then they became bilaterians, and then you could go with, say, chordates, and then you could go with amniotes, and then you could go with archontoglires if you want to skip a whole crazy bunch of steps. And then you could go with primates, and then you could say, which, you know, and each time say diverging into humans.
Sure.
But by picking out actual groups like lizards, like, no, lizards never became rodents. Lizards are a subset of Diapsida. There's basically all of Squamata minus the Tuatara, but then you include that, the Tuatara, now you get Squamata. Then they're in Lepidosauria, which is in Lepidosauramorpha, which is within Sauropsida. Well, which is in Diapsida.
You need to calm down you need to calm down for a second. He's not talking about this. He's talking about worms and lizards and rodents and primates.
But that's the thing. That's not how any of this works.
I like how he completely skips the entire mammal transition and the entire era of dinosaurs.
Well, he's also he's equating a fish to a lizard, or sorry, a lizard to a rodent.
Yeah,
but like a lizard isn't a rodent, and it never was.
Right. The other thing is the ancestors of rodents and lizards split long before there were ever either of them. Hundreds of millions of years.
Take a close split, even if you take a close split, right? Not all birds are ducks, but all ducks are birds.
Yeah.
Right. So you could essentially say that, there was a really close split here, but at no point was this one.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
So if you were to take the time frame out of it and take most of the changes out of it, and you say this is a rodent and this is a lizard, and they split, then this one didn't become this one and this one didn't become this one. They both became different things based on this one. There at no point was this rodent ever a lizard, and at no point was this lizard ever a rodent. So
right.
they misunderstood the train of where things go, not that they're splitting off.
On top of that, to add sort of in the same vein, this idea of reproductive isolation occurring in a single generation is somewhat rare. You know, I mean, typically, like, for instance, we think, at least in the human lineage, right, that Australopithecus afarensis, or Lucy, right, which is genuine, tends to be considered like the perfect, quote unquote, intermediate, probably could have interbred with that common ancestor of chimpanzees and humans.
I just got sent this message.
What is that?
A metric buttload of D&D dice.
Oh, hell yes. Forbidden snacks.
You can buy, it's in a pitcher, like a pitcher of beer. Like, it's in a pitcher, and it says a random pitcher of dice that you just scoop out of this big thing is $39.
Nice.
For forbidden drinks.
Forbidden cereal.
Oh, I saw like a role-playing dice set. I don't want to say.
I don't even
D&D,
have my dice anymore.
Oh my goodness, Chesh.
I have my dice.
But I saw some being advertised that were made of sugar. They don't look like they're made of sugar.
It's like
so when
rock
you get
sugar.
a bad roll, so you get like a bad roll, and you just crunch on it in your teeth, and then you can, like, your whole rest of the group who doesn't know that they're sugar can just be like, "What the hell just happened?
What just happened? This dice is garbage." You failed me for the last time.
What is
I
that?
just love that idea. Oh man!
My sister got me a Himalayan salt lamp for my previous birthday, which was on the 8th. And they're cool. They look cool.
Mine leaked.
They look cool. They do not have any of the health benefits which are ascribed to them.
But they look cool.
They do look cool.
We had gone out that evening, and so I was, of course, slightly intoxicated. And so I was like, "Oh my god, a Himalayan salt lamp!" And then I was like,
"Did you lick it?" Yeah.
Okay, so here.
Shockingly salty. I don't know what I expected.
I licked this big chunk of salt, and it surprised me by how salty it was.
It was definitely my old world monkey ancestors. Like, lick it.
So that actually reminds me. So when I was, when I first got into this apartment, I was sort of putting things together, and I was looking around at, like, okay, what color are the walls and everything, and, like, want to make sure that I have a color scheme that isn't completely off the wall and crazy. And then after I established like some decorations, I was at the grocery store and I was like, all right, I need more salt. And then I decided, you know what? The Himalayan salt will match the decor in my apartment. So I got pink Himalayan salt for no other reason than it looks good in the apartment.
Listen, they're cool looking, okay?
I can't argue about aesthetic.
Yeah, they're awesome. After we finish this video, remind me. I have had a little bit of wine, but when I was recently in Inverness, which is like quite close to Loch Ness up in Scotland, Luke and I were walking to our hotel, right, our hostel, and we passed by the flat Earth, like literally.
I saw that on Twitter. Yes.
Yes, and so they had pamphlets all up and down, and the dude who runs the shop is like standing there, you know.
Are we
ominously watching for potential, converts? And I was like, Luke, we can't pass this without getting a pamphlet. You know that, right? Like, we have to get a pamphlet. I don't
yeah.
Storefront. So I went into like Naruto run mode and like ran up, grabbed the pamphlet, and booked it, and it's over on my shelf. I would love to show you guys the memes because I kid you not.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
We're gonna have to do it on another stream because we're doing biology.
Oh,
so we do a flat Earth one another time, and we'll go through your pamphlet because we got a 7-minute video, and we've already been streaming for an hour, and we haven't even made it 2 minutes in.
To be fair, we didn't even start looking at it until like 40 minutes in.
That's true.
So but I'm having enough fun that I want to get this panel together again because I knew we would have fun.
Of course.
So yeah, but here we go. Also, I gotta point out. This guy's cursor is visible on like every single frame of this video. Oh, I love that. Look at the lower left. That's his cursor. That's not mine.
Oh,
he's trying.
I know.
Which became humans. In order to give rise to and grow.
Oh, there was one thing I wanted to point out about that thing.
Oh god.
Okay, all the mammals except the wolf.
Wow, guys, we made it 3 seconds.
It's a quick thing. All 3 of those mammals on one side of the thing, the chart, where the wolf is supposed to be descended from the squirrel. All 3 of those mammals are more closely related to each other than any of them are to the wolf, which means he's already got it wrong there. Because all of those 3 mammals are archontogliers, and then the wolf is a carnivoran, which isn't very closely related at all. But yeah, we'll keep going.
Like this guy doesn't know what a tree looks like.
Okay.
Grow the Darwinian tree of life, thereby accounting for all of the plant and animal kinds that exist now and which have existed in the past.
Kinds. We'll get to that later, maybe.
Evolution is an unguided, natural process which increases the genetic information in an organism, creating new genes which did not previously exist. These new genes then cause an increase in physical complexity and associated behavior, both of which increases the organism's ability to survive and pass on these traits to offspring.
So, yeah.
All right, one sentence at a time. Evolution is an unguided natural process which increases the genetic information of an organism. Go.
It depends on the organism, right?
Yeah. It also depends on how you define information.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You'll notice that very, very few creationists, I can think of maybe one, have ever even attempted to describe what information actually is. Because if you say to Kent Hovind, right, or someone very similar to him, okay, if you have a duplication event followed by maybe a frame shift mutation, cool, new information because you get vast morphologic change from something like that. Will it still apply? It's like, okay, yeah, law of monophyly, we know, we've done this song and dance before. But there are also organisms that can, adapt to their environment by losing genetic information, by deletion events. So it's not necessarily the increase of genetic information.
Right.
I think Mage Grey Wolf made a good point. It's not unguided.
That's true. So it's unguided in the sense that there doesn't have to be a mind steering it, but evolution is at least guided by sexual and natural selection.
Sure. It's also guided by habitat.
Yeah. Well, that's what kind of is the impetus behind natural selection, right? It's like, okay, well, what's the habitat like? Well, that's what's going to drive natural selection. And
one evolutionary state will influence another one.
Yeah.
So depending on what predators, like a really good example, well, go look at what happens to Australia when you add dogs or rabbits or cats, and you just destroy the entire ecosystem.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
or then you get Hawaii with the cane toad, and then like, oh, it's okay, we'll put in a snake, and the snake is like, it's way easier to eat bird eggs than it is to eat cane toads. So let's start with the bird eggs, right? Or oh my god, the mongoose is the worst.
Mongoose. Yeah. The thing is that so I was listening to a podcast on the Devonian mass extinction yesterday when I was actually running to my local supermarket, as I was telling you earlier.
You listening to an podcast about an extinction? That doesn't sound like you at all.
I know, it's completely out of character. But the Common Descent podcast, it's a pretty popular, paleontology podcast. It's really cool, and they were basically talking about how evolution can be jump started or tends to be jump started by these mass vacancies of niches. And so evolution isn't necessarily unguided, because the vacancy of an adjacent niche can in and of itself guide evolution, either to take advantage of that open niche or take advantage of the organisms that then fill it. You know what I mean? And so it's like other organisms, the environment, you have untold number of different things that can guide natural selection. There are these rather natural adaptations and evolutionary processes and lineages in specific organisms. So unguided is kind of a crude way of putting it. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's inaccurate, because no one is tinkering with kind of the
right. You have to make sure that you're okay with non-anthropomorphic versions of guiding.
Right, exactly. I mean, in the same way that the laws of physics can guide how something falls.
Right. Yeah.
It's to say, I don't know. It's kind of an obtuse way of looking at it. Technically, it's accurate, but
yeah, it's misleading, because the thing is, guide has a heavy connotation that there's someone doing the guiding, because it's like it's transitive verb, right? It can take a direct object. So I guide Erica into watching this video because I'm a jerk who wants to make her life horrible by watching creationist videos.
And she is.
I mean, hey, I have enough self-awareness. I'm a jerk. I make you watch creationist videos. Well, okay.
All right, next sentence.
Next sentence. Here we go.
Creating new genes which did not previously exist. We already covered that.
Yeah, that's
These
fine.
new
That's
genes then cause an increase in physical complexity and associated behavior. What?
Okay,
No.
that's the thing. They can. And one of the things is that over the course of life, life has tended to become a bit more complex on the whole. But that's because of necessity. Life is going to start at or about the minimum level of complexity where you can call it life, right? So on average, changes are going to be, for the whole of life, if you take the whole biosphere as a unit, obviously it can only go towards increasing complexity as a whole. But if you look at any particular lineage, it can go towards more or less complex. Like, you know what? Well, I don't remember there's this group of parasites that infect fish. And until recently, people thought they were single-celled. Turns out they're actually multicellular, but only a very few number of cells. And they're actually jellyfish.
Ooh.
The genome was sequenced, and they're freaking jellyfish that are multicellular life that consists of like a few dozen cells.
Like
parasitized
cnidarian?
fish. Yeah, cnidarian jellyfish.
Okay, gotcha.
Like and it's not just general cnidarians. They're specifically jellyfish.
Okay, yeah,
like they're not anemones or any of the other cnidarians. They're jellyfish.
Both of which increase the organism's ability to survive and pass on these traits to offspring. That one's actually pretty correct.
Yeah,
I mean,
Because the successful ones, at least. There are evolutionary changes that go and they don't succeed at this, which is why you get extinctions or why you get you don't find those things.
And
you're talking colloquial fitness, right? You're talking about survival of the fittest.
Right.
Sure, yeah. So it's like,
is it going to die in the given environment, or rather, is it more likely to live or die in the given environment? I agree.
Yeah, well, that's why it says both, which increase the organism's ability. Well, it's like not necessarily. It could decrease its ability, which is why you don't see it and why it's not successful.
Well, you can also get...
It might be considered an evolutionary fail.
Yeah. Well, you can also get a few things where, like, okay, some small population is going to become a new species. It's going to be very successful in the future, but initially it's going to have some weird effects from the founder effect, where there might actually be some decrease in fitness as a result of just the sampling of organisms that are the founders of that population. But in the long term, evolution does tend to increase the adaptation of organisms to their environment. So,
so we're willing to grant him this one with a little minor detail missing.
Yeah.
Let's go! Next
okay,
slide.
let's go.
What's he got?
This definition takes into account the Darwinian tree of life, and the basic story which evolution is intending to tell. We then took this understanding of the evolutionary model.
I don't like that much anthropomorphizing of evolution, but I also don't really want to say that it's completely not okay. Like,
I also don't like that he's using the term story because he's doing that on purpose to discredit it, but whatever, it's fine.
And examined the proposed mechanisms of evolution to see if any of them could cause the Darwinian tree of life to grow and create new kinds of plants and animals. First, with consideration to the...
Okay, he's used kind way too many times for me to not comment on it. You can't keep using this word without defining it.
It's going to come up later. That's the thing. I was telling Chesh that earlier. There is no way that the concept of kind is not coming up at some point in this 7-minute video. If it doesn't, I'll be surprised. I mean, I do tentatively kind of agree with this idea of calling it a story. It is a story in the fact, or rather in the aspect that we're referring to something that happened in the past. We're talking about it.
And there's a series of events that we can relate as one thing following onto another.
Sure. We're kind of talking semantics, but it's annoying the way he says it, which is kind of like it's a story in the way that a global flood is a story.
Right.
Well, he's using the word story to discredit it or to lump it in with other things. Well, if this is a story, then this is a story. Yeah, therefore, why would we trust one or the other? Yeah, that's what he's doing.
So I want to answer this question from Duke real quick. And actually, I have defined a kind because I looked through the most consistent creationist sources I've found. And it seems that basically a kind is just a clade, but the exception is that a kind doesn't have any previous ancestry.
Yeah, it's a clade with a special creation.
Well, here's the thing. I don't necessarily actually say it has to have a special creation. I just think it doesn't have to have any previous ancestry.
Well, that would be why it's a special creation, to not have that background. Nothing doesn't have that background, so it would have to be special in that case.
So for instance, under that definition, you could say like, the biosphere on Earth is a kind. But if we found an entirely alien biosphere on some other planet, that could be considered a different kind because it doesn't have any common ancestry with our biosphere.
But you're talking about a biosphere which is independent anyway.
Right, but that's why I'm saying without previous ancestry, because it doesn't require a god necessarily.
The thing about Kent is that he tends to, at least in the absolutely copious amount of Kent media that I've consumed, he tends to say that a kind, at least in the biblical definition, which he tends to equate as the correct one, is when two organisms can bring forth, right? So he's talking reproductive compatibility. But
including sterile hybrids, I guess.
That's kind of dicey though, right? Because he puts all of the great apes in the same kind, but orangutans are more distantly genetically similar to chimpanzees than we are.
Maybe Kent Hovind just wants people to follow along with him so he can see if he can make a partial monkey baby.
Shocking horror.
Wait, Erica, didn't we get into the possibility of a humanzee as a thing on our last live?
We did.
So my theory is confirmed.
My personal opinion based on
Kent Hovind just wants to have sex with a bonobo.
I mean, bonobos will have sex with anybody. So
can you blame him?
Well, here's the thing: bonobos they tend to be. I mean, they have female philopatry and like a matriarchy, so to speak. So
Kent wouldn't like that.
If Kent were to engage with bonobos, he would probably be the beta male, which means
he wants to be. He wants to be king of the bonobos.
He would have zero reproductive rights, my dude. He would not be able to own a single bonobo. Now, if he went to chimp society, common chimp society, Pantroglodytes, maybe. If he were very, very lucky. But Jane spent quite a bit of time with those common chimpanzees, and she kept that low rank, despite the fact that she was there for quite some time. And chimps can't really, at least to my knowledge, maybe they can, differentiate between males and females in our species. So,
well, here's my problem that I'm seeing for Kent. Kent is the kind of person who I think he would just get straight up murdered by chimpanzees.
Oh yeah, he would not. He's too arrogant.
I don't know that that's the case for bonobos, but what I don't know is if Kent knows about penis fencing. I don't know how okay he would be with that, and that would be a big part of the whole rising up the ranks as a bonobo. He might be.
There is a common misconception that bonobos cannot be as absolutely ruthless as chimpanzees. And by ruthless, I mean that the thing that chimpanzees do where when they see You
I'm
know,
gonna bitch slap your head off.
worse than that, male chimpanzees will surround the new male if they dislike him, or if he's an interloper, and they'll rip off his testicles and wave them around their heads. I mean, it's not a great situation. Bonobos are very, very similar to chimps in the fact that they tend to not like interlopers very much. So I imagine that if
I mean, I don't know what better word describes Ken Hovind than an interloper. All right, let's keep going.
All right, let's keep. Chesh, keeping us on track.
We looked at natural selection. However, natural selection cannot be the origin of any species because it only removes variation from a species.
Not all ducks are birds.
Darwin's.
Don't pause it. Don't pause it.
Oh, I'm just going to quick say, like, it's not entirely wrong. Natural selection on itself, yeah, you're not going to get new variation. We get it. Everyone knows.
Yeah, no one ever said
so. This rejection of natural selection as a mechanism of evolution comes from Darwin's own writings, as well as a clear understanding of what it is and what evolution is claiming to do. Next, we looked at genetic drift and migration. But this mechanism is literally just moving existing things from one place to another. Migration cannot be a mechanism of a...
Yeah, by ignoring the origin of new variations, it's true. You don't get new or oh my goodness.
Okay, so if I took a rabbit from Australia and I moved it and brought it to Canada, do you think it's gonna do very well in that change of environment?
No, not terribly.
How is it actually physically possible to Google the word evolution and not see the word mutation?
Remember when I said earlier that he was trying to draw a duck from memory?
Yeah,
he's trying to do these definitions from memory.
It does seem like it.
T.D. Lane, thank you. Agreed. Mutation is the fertile soil from which evolution can occur.
Right.
I mean, I have no idea. There has to be something intentional or some very advanced stupidity going on.
Or he's being lazy and trying to do it all from memory.
Do either of you know about atomic gardening?
Yes, you mentioned that last time.
Oh, yeah, I told you about that. Chesh, do you know about atomic gardening?
How off topic is it?
It's not very, because it has to do with mutation and how it can create the new variations.
If I were to go into X-Men, which also has to do with with mutation, would that be just as off topic?
No, this is much more.
Go ahead.
Okay, so atomic gardening is it's a mostly defunct gardening technique, but the idea is you put a fairly strong radioactive source at the center of a circular garden, and you plant crops in concentric rings around it, right? Mm-hmm. And the idea is because the radiation is mutagenic, you're increasing the mutation rate, like with a inverse square law as you go away from it. Mm-hmm. And so then you can find new mutations that you can breed into your crops for more effective.
So you find them faster as they're like, oh, that's cool.
So one of the most famous foods that is a result of atomic gardening is the ruby red grapefruit.
That's cool.
The ruby red grapefruit wouldn't exist except that humans were like, you know what? Damn it, mutations don't happen fast enough. And then once there was a mutation, they selected for it.
I just noticed that this says, is that how you turn a fish into a lizard?
Oh my god. No, it's...
Good. I have a really good question. Orange, how do you turn a fish into a lizard? Because I'm pretty sure it's magic.
It's how do you turn dirt into a lizard, I guess. And how do you turn water directly into a fish?
How do you turn a rock into Campbell's tomato soup?
By applying godlike physical form.
Well, I mean, if I could turn rocks into Campbell's soup, I would stop grocery shopping because I like tomato soup. So
I like Campbell's soup too. Yeah,
if you could do that, you could actually realize you could turn the can itself into more soup.
Oh yeah! So that way I don't have to throw it in a can. I just put it in the pot and then turn that into even more soup.
It's a soup Ouroboros.
Oh, nice!
All right, let's go.
Yeah. There's the
evolution because it cannot cause a new species, gene, feature, or behavior to come into
existence. We agree. No, it doesn't.
Because it is such a popular definition of and proposed mechanism for evolution.
But
that's the thing. It is a mechanism. It's just not the only one.
All right, keep going.
Keep going. Okay.
However, changes in allele frequency cannot be evolution, as they cannot.
They literally are evolution. That is what it is.
I can't even fathom the idea that they snuck it in there. I don't know if you guys heard it, but that new behaviors can emerge, cannot emerge rather. I heard that and I was like, big fucking fat no, my guy. Like that is not at all.
There's also another problem here. He was defining evolution earlier and didn't bring up changes in allele frequency and only has brought it up now without telling anybody what the fuck that means.
Well, at least
behaviors don't even necessarily require a change in allele frequency. Like a behavior can evolve and be passed along by like cultural intelligence hypothesis, right? Like you're essentially saying, all right, if you're a mother and you want to teach your young some valuable skills, you can do that without a change in allele frequency.
Or maybe you ate some mushrooms and you had a revelation.
Boom.
the stoned ape hypothesis. I don't think it's true, but it's we got Puck coming in as a guest. Is that Puck?
Yeah, it's Puck.
Hi Puck.
Good dog.
We'll keep going.
Not create new genes, variations, or species. The ultimate failure of this proposed mechanism is that it is a statistical change, not a genetic one. This is mere census information and cannot be evolution, nor even a mechanism of...
Oh, did you want to go on about that or just go with wrong?
No,
Wrong. Just wrong.
Yeah, wrong. Okay.
Make him look it up.
With modification. This was rejected because it is so ambiguous that it has no meaning. All this term can mean is...
It's not rejected though. The thing is that like all of these are minimalist definitions of evolution, right? Okay. Modification.
This fucking picture. This is Judy. Oh no, Elizabeth Taylor. She looks like Judy Garland. I recently saw Judy with Renee Zellweger, which is an excellent movie. I recommend everyone should see it. But this is some Lamarck shit right here. Am I right?
Yeah, it is.
This is like showing an individual changing throughout their lives. Is it possible that there is such an abysmal understanding of evolution out there that you could genuinely be subscribing to Lamarckian evolutionary processes?
This is Pokemon.
2020?
Yes, I think there is.
Pokemon.
Well, this is Pokemon. Well, that's the thing. You're confusing ontogeny and phylogeny.
You're telling me that adult Elizabeth Taylor is Blastoise, right? And she's not.
Yeah.
It's true. We got the whole 3 evolutions.
I would like to point out, though, that in absolutely 0 of the original 3 starters is the middle one the best looking one.
That's true. But Charmeleon is cool.
Charmeleon's cool, but he absolutely 100% is an awkward teenager.
Speaking of which...
He's not as cool as Charizard, agreed. The only middle starters that are cool, Grovyle, Monferno.
I like Wartortle.
Wartortle's cool, but you did just say not as cool as the adult.
Wartortle is one of the only ones that is closer. He's not there yet, but he is definitely one of the better middle starters. Most of the middle starters are awkward as hell looking.
Agree or not agree on Grovyle?
I like Grovyle. I think he's not as cool as Fraligator, though. Fraligator's like...
Oh, well, I mean...
Yeah, but Grovyle turns into Sceptile.
What...
Oh yeah, who was I thinking of? Oh, I was thinking of Croconaw.
I just want to point out, go check either my community tab or my Twitter and see Dapper Dino as a Charmeleon.
Yeah, it's pretty
I love
good.
it. I saw that. I'm pretty sure I like it. I like that shit. That's good. That's the kind of content I want to see.
I had a lot of fun with that, and really all I did was I replaced the texture that I used for my color. And then I just added a flame simulation of the tail and posed them on some rocks. And I was like, there you go, it's Charmeleon. It was like the easiest thing.
All right, keep going.
Enough Pokemon.
Change over time, which doesn't say enough to separate the origin of species from the extinction of a species, and thus can't be said to be evolution.
That actually wouldn't
work. That many changes from one generation
erosion.
When an animal
come on.
or not.
What are you doing, bruh?
I'm apparently failing at learning how to pause video. I don't even know.
Evolutionary fails.
Yeah, not Dapper Dino fails.
The erosion of a rock would not apply to the definition that they gave.
Right, that's one of the things. Is it's like that's one of the things I hate a lot about a lot of creationists. Is it's like, dude, things that are not biological are not good analogies for evolution.
Well, even besides that, I'm saying their definition, which we already all agreed is incorrect. By their definition, it has to be something added over time. So using erosion is the opposite.
Yeah, the thing is, too, is that as you can see from this beautiful screen grab right here, we're going to have a conversation about coelacanth, which is, we as if coelacanth is truly unchanged. Like, calling it a living fossil, people think that truly does mean coelacanth hasn't changed. I'll tell you what, pull up a Cretaceous coelacanth and show me the similarities between a modern. They're unique. They're different forms. I mean, coelacanth have changed throughout time. It's,
hey, if there are Goldeen swimming around and then I find a Sea King, does that mean that Goldeen doesn't exist anymore?
things are fairly immune over millions of years to anything.
How come there is no middle one between a Goldeen and the Sea King?
Tell me now. That is the ultimate question.
So
where's Quillfish come from?
So here's what I'm hearing is that on my off-topic channel, we should have a stream where we just play like Pokemon Red or Blue.
If we're going to do that, what we should do is we need to make sure we can link up, and what we should do is we're all there streaming. We'll put 4 screens up, and what we'll do, we'll put four screens up of each of our screens, and then what we'll do is we'll do a Nuzlocke run, and then we'll battle each other at the end.
Love it.
No IV training.
Wait, who's number 4?
Yeah.
Ben?
Okay. I mean, Ben could, but I don't think Ben has ever actually played a Pokemon game.
I don't know if Ben's going to have time, but if he's never played one, that would be the best option, because now we've got one poor bastard trying to play a Pokemon game for the very first time as a Nuzlocke run.
On a Nuzlocke run, he's going to show up with 6 Beedrills, and that's going to be it.
Well, we'd have to decide on the rules, because usually the rule is that if you get a repeat Pokemon, you go to the next one in an area.
Oh, okay.
So you don't end up with like 7 Pidgey.
Even if it's the same, even if it's rather the second stage. Like, what if maybe 3 Beedrills.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so if you get a Caterpie when you first go into,
then you find a
Metapod in another area.
You can get both, right?
you would take the Metapod. Yeah, you would have to pick the Metapod. But if you've already got a Butterfree, then you've already had Metapod.
Yes, you can. Well, so theoretically, 3 Butterfree, 3 Beedrill.
Possible. Unlikely, but because in Red and Blue you don't find a wild Butterfree or a wild Beedrill.
Yeah.
So you could have 2. You could accidentally end up with 2 Butterfree or 2 Beedrill, but you wouldn't really be able to get 3.
Well, I'll say this for Bent. He might actually be up for it because he's still working on his blind playthrough of Mass Effect.
Oh, yeah.
And he's in Mass Effect 3. He has already killed Samara, Tali, Ashley, and Caden. So it's a pretty bloody run through.
It's going great.
I know, right? I'm like, okay, so are you gonna kill Legion next? Because I feel like he's gonna kill Legion.
If we did that and we didn't have the rule where you couldn't catch similar Pokemon, I shit you not, I would go out of my way to get a team entirely made out of Golbats. Just because I don't want to win between fighting everybody. I just want to annoy the hell out of everybody by having nothing. Yeah, by having Toxic, like the evasion one, minimize.
Yeah, confusion,
like double Ray. Confuse Ray specifically.
Yeah,
and then Fly. So that way you can't hit me and you're getting poisoned, and now I'm hitting you and you're getting poisoned, and I'm flying again. You can't hit me, and now you're.
For the Pokemon nerds in the chat, I played a Fire Red Nuzlocke. Probably
now do that 6 times.
6 times, yeah. I raised this Golbat, where like my team's like Charmeleon, Nidorino, fucking Butterfree, and then this Golbat, and I'm like, oh yeah, like this Golbat's affection rate is so high, it's gonna be a Crobat any day now, but it's fucking Fire Red, which means it's not gonna be a Crobat until the National Dex. So I'm looking forward with this goddamn Golbat on my team, And Golbat compared to Crobat, for those of us that are indeed huge nerds, it's no competition.
No, Crobat's fast as hell, and you want that speed specifically, so that way you can get off your minimize and your double team right out the gate.
And it's fragile. Crobat's fragile as hell.
Mm-hmm.
At some point on my off-topic channel, we just have to have a random just nerd shits thing. Just nerdiest things. No creationist video.
Nothing but Ditto.
Oh no! Oh, nothing but Ditto.
It would be a little bit more fun if you did nothing but Pokemon that can learn Transform. So you would get Mew, you would get Porygon, and you would get Ditto. So at least you'd have 3.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would be slightly more interesting, I guess.
I was gonna say Zoroark, but that's an ability, right? It comes out and does like the auto transform.
Yeah. It's the same with like Shed Skin or something or like the thing where it copies the ability.
But we're getting close to finishing this video.
Let's go. Well, because you jumped like 3 minutes ahead.
Well, I didn't jump, did I?
Yeah.
You did. You did.
We were only like 3 minutes. Just go from here. Just go from here.
Whatever.
Just
It's
go
a
from
stupid
here.
video.
Just go from here.
If you look up the evolutionary dates, they can be living on Earth for millions of years without leaving a fossil. The next bit of alleged evidence for evolution was molecular clocks. Some people try to claim that DNA changes at a constant and predictable rate, but this was shown to be false for several reasons. First, because
Wait, is anyone aware of any studies where that was shown to be false? That mutation
No,
rates are just... Yeah, okay.
Molecular clocks are solid. Molecular clocks are solid. They can alter, like they can change slightly, but we're talking about the same changes like when you're working with millions of years, right? With like a 0.5 million year change.
Oh, so like it can change. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I understand.
Slightly, very slightly.
Yeah.
so quickly, we have to extrapolate far into the past where no evidence exists, thus making the entire concept speculation with no possibility of evidence. Next, there is no agreement between
I don't think
clocks
this guy
and the
knows
same
what clock.
species can
I
be
don't
of
think this
different
guy
dates.
has clocks work.
Hey,
Yeah.
Dapper D, now remind me, is there not a whole horde of creationists who use the potential of preserved DNA in hadrosaur femurs and T-Rex femurs as evidence for a young Earth creation, right? When they just said that the half-life's 500 years?
Yes, there is. Yeah, actually, it's pretty common.
So how does that work?
Well,
I'll be back in a second.
yeah, the way it works is you just don't worry about it.
Hmm.
Yeah. So the great thing about creationism is you can compartmentalize it, and then contradictory data, as long as you don't think about it at the same time as you're thinking about other contradictory data, it just stops mattering.
Perfect. I like that because it's the same concept as physics was different then.
Right,
which I'm a
exactly.
big fan of. I really like that idea because, then in the same way, I can be like, oh, cool. Everything was different back then. So the Earth's actually several trillion years old because just
my favorite thing is things were different back then, but they stopped changing the minute we could look with any degree of accuracy. It's like, oh yeah, well, God had crazy accelerated the speciation rate after the flood. It's like, well, why don't we see the same speciation rate now? It's like, well, it stopped being that way about the same time that we started developing like modern taxonomy and the ability to accurately describe species in the scientific literature. Well, that's convenient.
You're forgetting entirely about how created heterozygosity just managed to run out now.
Right, exactly. It's like, when did this stop being a thing and then genetic entropy took over? It was like 1850 or so. Well, that's convenient.
It's in the same vein of, okay, well, why do our hominids get so close to humanity and then stop right outside of the humankind, right? That's just how it is. You just gotta deal with it.
Look, God just very conveniently made it look like evolution happened, but if you believe it, no, that's not okay. You're a devil man or a person. I don't know. Devil dinosaur.
Big time busted. Oh, sorry. What's that? Australopithecus afarensis? No, that's not going to work for me.
Yeah, that's just an. Well, my favorite thing is if you line up hominin, especially cranial fossils, right?
Yes.
Different creationists pick different points as to which ones count as human. That's one of my favorites.
It's so typically they do that between Afarensis and Africanus, which are like your late stage Australopithecines, and then early genus Homo, so Habilis and Rudolfensis. And you're right. Every time you'll find different people saying different things, and it all has to do with, the foramen magnum is here, or the pelvis doesn't look quite right, or it's the longitudinal arch in the foot. And every single time, it's different reasoning based on the creationist you're talking to, right? They can't agree.
Do you know who John Morris Pendleton is?
I believe so, because I think you asked me this on our last stream.
Well, he has this tendency to say Australopithecine as Astropiscine.
You know what? Okay,
It's hilarious.
Let me ask you this, because I was listening in this podcast that I was listening to on the Devonian extinction. I was like, so Dunkleosteus or Dunkelosteus?
I would go with Dunkleosteus, but
that's what I've been calling it for quite some time. But I heard a professional paleontologist call it Dunkelosteus the other day because the guy's last name was Dunkel.
Yeah, that's
unfortunate.
It is.
This is an unfortunate last name.
I've said it before, but it's worth going back over. My rule for pronouncing these crazy binomial names is like, okay, look. If you want to get deep into the etymology, that's great. But for the most part, know if the CH is from Greek or not. And other than that, just get all of the vowels in and all of the consonants in a way that's reasonable, and then just go with it.
So I'm thinking Dunkleosteus and Dunkelosteus. They're both fine,
Yeah,
right?
I go with either.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I was just checking because I was like, cool. I've been calling it something different this entire time and looking like an idiot. So
I would never call anyone out for either of those things.
excellent. Okay, let's keep going. I'm ready.
Depending
Cheshire
on
ready?
what you think and what assumptions you bring to the
Cheshire's
table,
always ready.
the biggest objection, in my humble opinion, is the fossil record.
I love it how these fossil forms, I mean, it's not super obvious with the Carboniferous, which is probably actually a griffin fly, but whatever. But these things aren't actually the same. Like, okay, let's look at the horseshoe crab. I don't know if you know this, but fossil horseshoe crabs tend to actually not be very similar. And in fact, I'm not even convinced that that's really an Ordovician one. But they have many differences, one of which is like number of segments, the actual structure of the telson, how the legs are arranged. You look at the coelacanth, it's got all these weird humps on the back. The posterior dorsal fin isn't all the same. The caudal fin has an extra lobe on it.
The orbits are in a completely different function. They're more to the side than to the front.
And so you guys are getting into something, and you completely missed that he said, "In my humble opinion," as he was too lazy to Google search what an evolution was.
Right.
What
Arrogant.
an evolution is. Hey, what is an evolution?
That bat fossil, I happen to know, has claws on the ends
This
of
guy's
all
been
of its
studying
fingers.
Professor Oak.
God damn it. Yeah, that's the thing that really kind of irks me about this, because it's like, so the Triassic turtle, right? I mean, we have, what, plastrums? Is that plastrums and carapace, right?
Yeah, plastron is the belly part and carapace is the back part.
We could have a species. We could have a species that has not changed whatsoever through the entire time, and it would not disprove evolution. Because what you would have to do to then disprove evolution is to say that there should be a reason why it has changed.
Well, and not to mention
Or should have changed. And good luck.
Coelacanth live in deep sea habitats, and so if you're going to pick, sometimes even in subterranean cave style habitats. So if we're going to talk about an organism that's going to most likely be unchanged for that long,
Something that's isolated, something where there's little change to its habitat.
Yeah.
bingo, exactly.
Well, and here's something. So it can't just be that it's crushed, because that wouldn't explain the entirely different arrangement for the orbit, nor would it explain the shorter, stouter, or posterior dorsal fin. Nor would it explain, this is unidentified leviathan, by the way, nor would it explain the extra lobe on the caudal fin.
So I can't say this for certain, but typically too with lobed fin fish, a lot of the identifying characteristics have to do with the seams and the bones that make up the skull. And with lobed fin fish, if I remember correctly, I'm not 100% positive, but with coelacanth, they shift around, right? I mean, the bones that make the entire skull up change, which is why you see such a disparity with the orbits here. So you should be able to look at that and be like, it wouldn't make a difference if it was crushed or not. You know, that particular skull bone is shaped a certain, cranial bone rather, is shaped a certain way.
But it still looks like a fish, though.
It's still a fish.
And another thing is, I mean, if you look at that Triassic turtle, it's actually not all that much like that cryptodeer turtle that you're seeing up there, which looks like a box turtle or something. Like, look at the lateral margins of the shell. It's completely different. The tail is much, much longer and is actually separately armored in that Triassic form, whereas it's not in this modern example.
If we're going to do nerd out time, what we should do is try to taxonomically classify Pokemon.
Please, yes. Please, yes.
So is a Goldeen a fish?
So Mikey Famine already has me do that with Monster Hunter World whenever I show up on one of
There
his
you
gaming
go.
streams. He's like, all right, Dapper, what's this monster? And I'm like, I guess it's a this. And he's like, all right, there you go, guys.
My favorite artist rendition I've ever seen of a Tyrannosaurus Rex is when somebody said, oh, well, apparently we don't really know how much meat they really had on their bones.
Oh, I love that.
And apparently they also had feathers. So they drew a T-Rex and then on top of it drew a little
Isn't it like a robin
chick.
or something? Yeah.
No, it's like a chick. It's like a chicken, but like a young chicken, like a chick.
Yeah.
On top of the, it's like, well, that works. It's got the little bitty arms and the little bitty.
Yeah, technically we can't say no.
Please can we end shrink wrapping Paleor, because I love the idea of both chonk and feathered theropods. I love them. Fat theropods that are covered in feathers. It's my ideal biosphere, right? And then someone too brought up the other day, or it was like a meme, right, where they were like, it's dolphins. Dolphins are the dominant species in the future, and they're looking at humans, and it's this hideous creature with like no cheek muscles, like so the teeth are all bare.
Yeah.
No eyelids over the orbits, and so it's this hideous creature. And then the comment is like, "Other dolphin, you fool, coward! How could you forget they had fur?" And then it's just like a little bit of fur like across the top, and it's just like this hideous human beast. And I'm like, what if we're doing?
I would love to know whether or not Gyarados would be classified as a fish or a snake.
Or fish. Gyarados.
Okay, so we got a $2 super chat.
He's
from
a
Adam
lamprey.
It says
eel.
It says get a Discord, son. Also blanket next week. So I will say the same thing I've said before. I currently do have a Discord, although it is a patron Discord. However, the minimum buy-in to access it is $1. So Also, if anyone wants to set up a Discord for me that isn't for patrons, it's for anyone, go ahead and invite me to it, and then I'll just be on it a lot. Just do it. Go set one up. And also blanket next week.
Hey, Mikey, we were just talking about Mikey.
Hey, Mikey's here. And so also Adam Morgan bought a Dapper Dino blanket because I sell those on my merch store. So thank you. And please do like tag me on some pictures or something because I want to see how it comes out because that blanket has like a 10K image of me on it. So I spent a lot of time rendering that. Yeah, well, so Teespring is like, oh, this image isn't big enough. And I had uploaded like a 4K image and I was like, really? Like, yeah, no, it has to be bigger. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll just turn it up to 10.
Okay, big, enormous credit to TD Lane who says chonky feathered Utah raptor. That is all. Yes, 100% yes. I am about chunky feathered Utah raptors, just kind of plodding about on the savannah.
Yeah.
Open the link I just sent.
Where did you send it?
I sent it into the private chat.
Okay.
The internal one. It's from an intrigued feline. You might enjoy that.
Okay.
Oh, I love this. This is really cool.
I'm taking a look.
Damn.
Oh wow.
This is hot. Oh my god, they went all the way to Alola? That's intense.
They've got research notes, habitats.
That is impressive.
Okay,
I gotta say that is some impressive work. I'm gonna have to look a lot more at that later.
I will link it in the chat for other people, so that way they can see it.
You do have mod status on my.
I do, yeah.
Channel, right? Yeah, okay. I was gonna say, like, why wouldn't you? Like,
diet for Bulbasaur and care. I love Bulbasaur.
Aww.
Oh my god, you guys, Jinx. Is Jinx omnivorous? That's horrifying.
Yes.
Jinx is lurking across the mountaintops, consuming flesh.
Uh-oh.
I need to know about Mischievous. I need to know about ghost Pokemon.
Guys, PETA found the stream.
They feed on fear.
I love it.
PETA found the stream. You probably killed them and fossilized them. How dare you? It's true, I did.
Yeah, I did that too. When you're guilty, you're guilty. Are we watching the rest of this video or what?
Yes.
Okay, let's watch it.
Evolutionary theory states that the fossil record shows species living on Earth
We can't see it internally.
for hundreds of millions of years. But clearly, if that were possible, it would prove that DNA does not change at regular and predictable rates.
Wrong.
Finally, we look at a textbook classic piece of support for...
Oh, hold on. We got a super chat. From Vandalia 1998 for 49. Thank you so much for your super chat. Sorry I'm late to the show. I was watching the new Warcraft 3 on Twitch, and I don't have a Discord. And I have a Discord. You three are invited to join if you want. Thank you. Venda, you have... Oh, I'm not sure what...
Is there Discord about Warcraft?
No, it's not specifically about Warcraft. There's stuff like you can put your own videos in there, and he's got a podcast that you can do stuff over. So yeah, send me the invite link again, because I don't think I still have it, and I will pass it on to Erica and Chesh.
Hey.
Thank you once again. And by the way, the chat has officially paid for the super cheap ROM I bought.
Yay!
Yay!
I'm going to need $500 if chat wants to pay me for an Oculus.
Well,
here's the thing.
Canadian, though.
Vandalia 1998 paid for my bottle of wine. That's how cheap I am.
Oh, wow.
Yay!
That's what we're talking here. Actually, he's paid for something slightly more, No, he hasn't, because pounds are worse. So the dollar is not doing great here right now, you guys. I'm struggling. Okay, let's go. Tell us about homologous
features. These are features believed to be shared by different species because that feature was passed down from.
It's believed to be shared by different species. Like, obviously they are. Are you looking at your drawing?
It is shared.
Right.
Now, your reasoning for why they're shared is the issue he's having.
Again, we learned the double-edged sword, which is evolution. As we saw that a common feature could not be called homologous.
Me and Erica just made the same face.
And a common ancestor with the feature in question. Thus, far from being.
All right, so here's the thing, right? Cabbage Wolf.
Cabbage Wolf is my favorite. I love Cabbage Wolf.
Hey, drink for Cabbage Wolf.
Drink for Cabbage Wolf.
Cabbage Wolf.
Are you guys familiar with RuneScape?
Yes.
Do you remember the Cabbage God?
No, I don't. Oh wait, Chesh, does this mean that Cabbage Wolf is going to be your next art project? Are we going to see a Cabbage Wolf time lapse on your channel soon?
It would look like a Pokemon.
I would like to see some speculative evolution on a Cabbage Wolf, right? So we're talking about an organism that has. I'm imagining that would be a regular canid, right? That has somehow, convergently evolved the ability to.
It would be a grass. It would be a grass type dog Pokemon.
Yes, we're talking Leafeon.
Leafeon, yeah.
There you go. So. My favorite thing about this is it's like, oh, you have to assume common ancestry to identify homology. It's like, no, you don't, actually. You can do things like look at embryology and say, hey, look, the ontogenetic formation of these organs matches up until the point where they start to diverge in actual morphology through embryological development. Therefore, they're homologous.
Not to mention that they rely on homology frequently to sort of derive these kinds.
Oh yeah, if you look into the baraminology literature, it's all about homologies.
Yeah, it's all homology. None of it has anything to do with genetics, because if they even broach that topic, then you have to deal with the great apes.
Yeah.
And you have to deal with our position.
Well, there was someone who did used baraminology techniques to recover all of Dinosauria and birds as a hollow baramin, which means a single kind according to creationists, as well as to find all great apes, including humans. And so it's like, hey, baraminologists, you're basically just using phylogenetics and cladistics, but badly. If you even follow your own rules, evolution is true.
We got 10 minutes before the 2-hour mark.
Okay, here we go.
Evidence for evolution, we see that evolution and a particular evolutionary sequence must already be accepted before the common feature can even be called homologous.
No.
At the end of the road, we learn that the proposed mechanisms of Darwinian evolution cannot cause evolution to happen. When properly understood, evolution is seen to be intellectually bankrupt. A collection of logical fallacies.
Did he just hold on? Did he evolve to not have a neck?
Easy on him. He's put all of the effort into that absolutely baller shirt that says art.
He definitely has put all of the effort into that shirt. That's the whole budget right there.
He even bothered to put in folds at the elbows.
Yeah, folds at the elbows. It's got the little markings for the ridges on the.
Yeah, this is what we call high art, right? I read somewhere that to be art, all it has to do is elicit a strong emotion. I feel a strong emotion today.
There's nothing that makes me happier than that his mouth is just completely. It's like it's not that he drew the mouth in that place, because I'm sure he did. I'm sure that's exactly what he meant to do. It's on purpose. But what it looks like to me is that he drew the line and then grabbed it and shifted it, because it would fit on his face if you tilted it and put it in the right spot.
Look at how sublime his avatar is. And then look at how trash this guy is.
Oh, I almost vomited. It's horrible.
This is the worst. This was like 10 seconds of me fiddling around with the computer, right? Obviously, just absolute garbage.
Can you, I can't even approach the beautiful moving fish in the background that you have.
Those fish. First of all, the fish were Chesh's idea, so thank you very much, Chesh. Second, those fish are actually like the laziest part of that scene, actually.
I'm actually kind of upset. I'm gonna make a bad joke here. I'm actually kind of upset that this guy is like, we're cutting off at the pelvis, because I want to see how the author of this creationist video would deal with this.
Yeah, okay, put it back by like half a second and you can see him.
Okay.
Or forward.
Yeah,
there you go. He doesn't have a bulge. He's a Kendall.
No bulge, no thick.
No, nothing.
No bulge.
Yeah. He doesn't even really have knees. He's got like tentacles that end in shoes.
He's also got like that. So he's doing this wide stand. Hold on, I'm gonna stand up for a second. He's doing this wide stance thing, right? So he's doing that. Does that look right to you?
Yes, the lower half is a fucking T-pose, dude. Like the lower half is a T-pose.
He's also got like some bend going on those legs. He's got like
It does seem like sort of a T-pose. Like he made like. Well, of course, I'm giving him way too much credit in saying that he made references for his character. That's way too much credit.
Listen.
I like him. I think he's cute.
Creatures aren't going to reach the meme hood that is the T-pose until 2028. Let's call it.
Although I would like to point out that he probably drew this the same way he did that. He did the definition by not looking at a reference.
Fair.
Well, yeah. All right, here we go.
Policies and wishful thinking. It has no observable evidence that supports it. It must be used as evidence for itself, and whatever else you might believe, when understood properly, evolution fails on its own merits.
I really want Unholy Roast. I really want Unholy Roast to do a video about this guy and have his avatar coming out of his coffee mug.
Yes! Oh, Unholy Roast, I don't even think he's here anymore, but if you watch the rest of this, please do it.
He had to leave. He mentioned it earlier.
We'll have to tell him, hey, watch the 155 mark on this video.
Can you even imagine?
Clip it.
Yes.
Go. Let's go.
Define nothing.
Oh.
God.
This is Shakespeare. This guy.
Yay, Shakespeare.
Thanks for
Clap
watching,
for
everybody.
Shakespeare.
This chapter and now all of the chapters in our Defining Evolution series are up on our new website, abitoforange.com. So go check that out.
Please
for
tell
logging
me
in,
he's got a
subscribing.
contact
We'll see you next
information.
time.
Hold on, I'm gonna look up abitoforange.com. 1 second.
I mean, I'm sure he has some way to contact him on his YouTube page, even if it's just comments. But
abitoforange.com.
He has been super active lately, though, which is kind of sad because I kind of like his goofy.
Oh, he's got a Twitter.
Medium. Oh, he has a Twitter. Like, what do you call it? This is like, what is it? Medium
Follow.
effort? Because I wouldn't actually call it high effort, but it's not low effort either. Like, what is this?
It is
Hey,
what it is high art. Okay, we're dealing with high art here. We're dealing on something that elicits such a visceral emotion that I am forced to acknowledge its impact. Right.
Okay.
You know, but the thing is that it's in the same way that like a fucking flat Earth map, you know, from the 1100s, right? Like where you see it and you're like,
you have to go farther back than the 1100s if you want an authentic flat Earth map.
Fair. Okay. Also, because I saw someone mentioning or asking about this earlier, the reason my light flickers is because my webcam is bad.
We need to get you a better webcam.
Okay, so I'm just trying to contact Orange here on his Twitter, and I
nice.
said, "Hey, bro, the non-sex show is coming back, and I was wondering if you'd be interested in being a guest, either for a debate or a discussion."
Yes, please. Thank you.
I have a few people who would be down to chat with you.
Oh, yes. But only if he can upshift the pitch on his voice in real time.
Dude,
I hope he can do that in real time.
Chesh, you are an ambassador, my guy. Like, you are an ambassador.
Yeah, she really
Diplomat.
is. She really is.
Diplomat. I love it.
Do you want me to list like at Dapper?
Oh yeah, you can totally tag me on that.
At Dapper. And
think, Erica?
Erica, you got a Twitter handle?
Yeah. Gutsick Gibbon. Gutsick.
I can see it.
Yeah, there's an underscore after the Gutsick.
I got it. Are two nice people.
Aww. Chesh, you don't have to lie about us.
No, because I don't want. First off, I don't want to scare him away, and second of all, you guys will actually be nice to him. You're not gonna just sit there and like
that's true.
Just like rip him. You're not gonna peel him, is what I'm saying.
Well, I did eat a whole bunch of oranges in that. Eating a bunch of oranges. What did I even call it?
A bushel.
Eating a bit of orange, something. I don't know. And, so actually, what I did was see the oranges that are on my replicator.
Yes.
It's the same oranges. I just deleted a few of them so they'd fit inside my maw. And by the way, those are one of the only part. Actually, I think they're the only part of my set that I didn't make myself. I just bought those.
Well, sometimes you need a couple of
and I'm gonna link it in the chat because if you guys can actually go ahead and upvote and retweet that a bunch, because that will probably make him a little bit more inclined to answer me.
All right, and for $5 from Vandalia 1998, thank you very much for your second super chat of the stream, which is pretty awesome.
Aww.
I sent the link to you, I'm assuming me, via Twitter when you were done with the stream, and can't wait. So I'll send it to you too when I'm done with the stream, and can't wait to see everyone there. Plus, Chesh waiting on your schedule still.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm also waiting on my schedule still.
So everyone is waiting on that. So thank you so much again, Vandalia. So now you guys have maybe paid for. I was going to say paid for like the Kent with Bent booze, but it's going to be the same rum. I'm not going to drink all that rum between now and Thursday.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, it's a handle of rum that I bought for $15. If I drank that, I might die.
No, that would put me in the ground. I'm a fucking lightweight, dude.
Well, it's only so after I got it back, I noticed it's only it's not 80 proof, it's 70 proof.
Oh, okay.
I hate
Coward.
that. I didn't notice beforehand. If I had noticed beforehand, there's a serious chance that I just would have been like, nah. Because that last 5% alcohol, I need it.
We've all had that moment in our early 20s where we've been like, I can handle it. And the answer is actually, no, you can't.
Okay, so question. Either of you, have you ever tried a Rocky Mountain Bear fucker?
No.
If I have, I don't know about it.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, I
don't know what that is.
Jack Daniels, tequila, rum.
At some point, you need to sell me on this drink. Why would I?
They're actually good.
Oh, so tell you what, Chesh, you come to Phoenix and make me one, and then maybe.
Done.
Yeah, dude, Chesh, that's hardcore, dude. That's like you're.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how tall you are, but you're quite thin. So I imagine that would be.
Chesh is 3.5 feet tall. What is it?
Something like that.
Yeah, quite tall for a goblin.
I'm 4'10.5".
Wait,
Chesh,
for real?
Yes.
There's a reason that Chesh is a goblin.
So that has to put you like fucking in the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Like the drink does? No.
Yeah.
No.
You have an incredible tolerance.
Okay.
That got personal real quick.
All right. Story time?
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
I used to drink a lot.
Oh.
Okay.
Like I used to drink a lot. Like I'm talking that I would drink like a 24 pack of beer in like half a week.
Girl, okay.
We're talking like I would have a night out. Like a night out would involve at least a 26er of rum by the end of the night. At least.
Damn.
I can no longer do that. I stopped drinking cold turkey, and so and I stopped sleeping. So essentially, I'm still recovering from the amount of sleep I was not getting.
Chesh, you were 15 or 16 when this happened?
Something like that.
Because Chesh is 17, in case you didn't know, Erica, apparently, according to Twitter.
Of course. Chesh, big props to the recovery. That's awesome. Absolutely with you on that.
Well, thanks.
I solidarity. I mean, not with the not drinking. That's not been my necessarily forte. But I also haven't. So at my house, where like when I'm home during the summer, it's like a dry situation. So it's like the temptation really isn't there. But here in the UK, fun fact for you, most
pubs everywhere.
Dude, most people are just alcoholics, and they don't. But by American standards, like they are, but by UK standards, they're not. So it doesn't really matter. Anyways, so more alcohol here than previously. So we'll, once I get back to the States, I'll probably cut back. But
I should clarify. I was working factory at the time.
Girl, nice.
So I ran a section of quality.
Cool.
Before, like that was eventually where I ended up, and then by the time I left, I was working in maintenance, working on like gun drills and CNC machines and all that good shit.
That is like, that's like,
but
the Riveter shit.
Well, what I used to do, it was really funny because what I used to do is they took away my little drivey cart because somebody else messed with it, and so it made the oil, like the oil guy mad because he needed to use it. So they took my keys away, and I was like, oh, okay. So I would go and I'd get these like 5-liter these 5-gallon, you know, like that standard 5-gallon buckets.
Yeah.
And I would just fill them with coolant, and I would just be shuffling around the plant. And like the plant was big enough that it was like, it took you about maybe 3 minutes to walk from one end, 3 to 5 minutes to walk from one end of the plant to the other. So I'm doing that with these coolant things, just shuffling around. And they're like, why is it taking you so long to do this? And I'm like, because you took my car away.
You're like, listen, I had to get swole to do my job. So I got
pretty funny.
I don't know.
I'm not nearly as strong anymore because I also used to bike to work. So essentially what I would do is I would get up in the morning. I would then bike uphill to work. It was uphill the whole way. It took me like 45 minutes to bike to work uphill.
It was uphill both ways.
I would either work 8 hours or 12 hours, depending on the day, on my feet carrying this stuff around. And then I would bike home, which would only take me a half an hour because it was all downhill. And then I would...
Or do you have a great back?
Yeah. But what I used to do is that I would essentially get off of my shift. I would go into my apartment. I would go into the fridge, grab a beer, take my clothes off as I'm drinking my beer, walking to the shower, turn the shower on, drink my beer in the shower, get out of the shower, and...
Hey, you know what? Shower beers are great. And anyone who says otherwise is stupid.
I've heard of the merits of shower beer. So I'm
try it.
I've been meaning to. I'm more of a, what's going on with my hair here? Okay, I'm more of a wine, or I guess I'm kind of a big baby, so like cider. I enjoy a cider.
Ciders are good.
Yeah, I like them. I like the taste, whatever. It's fine.
Records? I think I have 2 records. One was a flask full of homemade bourbon, like homemade distilled bourbon.
Like moonshine?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I drank the entire flask full, and it was like a flask. It wasn't like a tiny one. It was like I don't know exactly how much was in it, but I drank that within the span of 2 hours. I was very drunk. The other one was I went out one night to like kind of like a bonfire-y bush thing. And I only had 2 beers, but I drank a 26er, and I drank half of another 20, one of rum. The other one was half a 26er of vodka. Me and another girl split a bottle of Zambuca, and
nice.
Various throughout the night.
Icarus, to answer your question, real beer. We're not talking American beer. We're talking real beer. Yeah, we're not talking
not Bud Light or anything like that.
Yeah, we're not talking Bud Light. Yeah.
No. Also, the beer I've been drinking is not like it's homemade. Well, homemade. My parents. I'm living with family right now, and they order like specifically from a brewery, and they bottle their own. So it's like.
Are you Canadian? You're Canadian. Yes. Okay, cool. Intrigued Feline was like, Erica, FYI, Chesh is American, or isn't American, she's Canadian. I did not know that. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I live near all the vineyards.
Oh, awesome. That's sweet.
Ontario wine.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
It is the good stuff. It is the good stuff.
I was, like I said, I was recently...
It's also not very expensive here.
Well, that's a plus. But by the way, we are coming up towards 2 hours, 10 minutes.
At least we got through the video.
Well, apparently I skipped it accidentally, so there's that.
Whatever.
But it was all. I saw it at one point. I was like, "Oh, this is really stupid." But I had a lot of fun, and I think we should do more of these. I don't know if we want to set up like a regular thing because everyone's schedule is crazy. But
so I'm good to hang whenever. Once we hit March, I'm not 100% sure. So for my master's, I go to Malaysia for about 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
March, May, June. March, April.
Well, I mean, we don't have to make it something where we're like, oh, every second, whatever of the thing, we're doing it. And if you're not here, oh, everyone's angry at you. Like, we can just do like...
To be fair, I do have a show scheduled on the second Tuesday of every month called That Time of the Month.
Oh, yeah, you do. Which is, I saw that first episode. That was a lot of fun, by the way.
Yeah.
That was where Nikki told everyone that I'd sent her a dick pic of Dick Van Dyke, which was just a picture of Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah.
The thing is I'm not 100% sure what my Wi-Fi situation is going to be.
Yeah,
so
well,
if it's good, then it should be fine. But
all I'm saying is every once in a while when we can, I think the three of us should do more hangouts because
sometimes it's better not to have things scheduled. Sometimes it's better if it just can happen sometimes.
Yeah, the chat seems to have liked it. I had fun. It seems like you two had fun.
Yeah, I had a great time.
I hated it. Worst time
Yeah.
ever.
All right. Well, then you know what, Chesh? You can go play with Steve or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Why did you wish that upon me?
Well, it's what you're gonna do anyway.
Boo.
Yeah.
That was your life decision, not mine.
What?
Yeah, Chad.
You think I had a choice?
Oh, I forgot. He is grouping you for.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't have any option here.
Oh, Erica, if you get
he keeps picking all the ticks out of my hair.
Erica and eating them. Hey, it's extra protein. Erica, if you take a deep dive into the craziness on Twitter between Chesh and Steve and all the people, it goes. You might not want to.
I am excited to. TD Lane mentioned really fast. Am I going to pop into Evolution Hour with RJ and Jackson? Yes, that is the plan. I need to actually cut off the wine because that's a little bit more of a strictly what's going on, literature wise, and I'm not exactly in.
This is why I don't get invited to highbrow stuff because I like kick in the door and just be like, "What up, bitches?"
that reminds me.
Chesh, I bet you would fit in actually perfectly. The thing is you just have to do like a little reading beforehand, and then you're perfect. That's literally it.
So I just mute right when I get there, and I could just go my standard introduction. Hey, what up? It's me, your boy.
Hey, boy, it's me. I'm here to crack one open.
So that reminds me, by the way, RJ has started collecting information from my Leaving Young Earth Creationism videos. That to correlate to he's adding it to the data he was collecting from Bill Ludlow's Leaving Young Earth Creationism, and eventually he's hoping to have a bit of a statistical analysis done on like when people get into Young Earth Creationism, when they leave,
I have
what
a question.
Reasons are. Yeah.
Am I familiar with RJ?
I don't know.
Probably. So RJ does a lot of stuff. You know Jackson Wheat?
No.
No? Okay. Well, Jackson Wheat and RJ both do a lot of stuff with like Young Earth Creationism and evolutionary biology and stuff like that. They're on Modern Day Debate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go through the creationism episodes of Modern Day Debate, you'll see RJ Downard is on a few of them. He debated Kent at one point. He debated a few others.
James is good people.
But I think we are going to wrap it up though, because the longer we go,
now we're talking shop.
Yeah, plus the longer we go, the longer it takes for YouTube to get off their asses and put this thing out as a video. So, all right. Well, thank you everyone for coming. I had a lot of fun, and I do think that the three of us are going to come back together and do more of this crazy rambling nonsense because it was a lot of fun. Thank you, everyone.
I had a great time meeting you.
Oh, this is a lot of fun. I'm going to be hunting you down on Twitter so you cannot escape.
And I'm happy I could facilitate that because really, you two put out some of the stuff that I like the most on YouTube. So if you haven't yet, check out Erica and Chesh's channels. I believe that they are both linked in the description, but I put that description in a long time ago. So even if they're not, search for them. And if they're not, then they can flog me later. I don't know. Special thanks to Luca, Helios, Adam Morgan, and Vandalia for your super chats. It is very much appreciated since you basically paid for my ROM. And as far as channel news, Friday is another Kent with Bent. This is going to be Kent with Bent 14, the Lennoxville Horror. Yeah, check that out. We got some very nice manicure stuff going on. Tuesday, there will be the next episode of Creationism and the Big Bang. It's titled The Big Bang, finally, because finally on episode 5, we're actually going to end up talking about the Big Bang. Then that Thursday, I don't know if there's anything else happening on the channel on Wednesday. I doubt it. But Thursday is going to be another episode of Leaving Earth Creationism, almost certainly at 1 p.m. Eastern, with my brother Phil. So be sure to check that out. I think it will be... I'm looking forward to it. I don't know. It's going to be crazy. I don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, check that out. And that is all I have for channel news. Do either of you have anything you want to plug?
Non-Sequitur's coming back. So if you guys want to be on or have topics and crap you want to talk about, let me know.
Yeah.
We have... Wait, what day is it?
It's the 29th.
Okay, so not next Tuesday. The Tuesday after will be that time of the month.
Okay.
And Monday is Caffeine Corner, and there might be a rum and coke this week, but I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, bye, Erica.
Bye! So long!
Thank you, Chesh, and thanks, Erica, who may or may... Oh, she came back. Thanks.
Yay!
I was just saying thank you to Chesh and Erica for coming by. I had a lot of fun. And thanks to whoever it was, I don't remember, who suggested this in the chat, because this is the most fun I've had on the stream in a while.
Mr. P just keeps getting timed out in this chat.
Oh my god.
What did he say?
He said, well, his deleted message says, Chesh, why don't you try applying your nail polish via the party trick method? Audience engagement is paramount. If those of you who don't know what the party trick method was, is I had a bottle of beer for DFOTY, and I put it between my boobs and I drank it.
Perfect.
Nice. Perfect. Yeah, no, maybe on the off-topic channel, Chesh. Let's do that on the off-topic channel. The one that isn't even monetized.
Well, I would need a bottle. I don't have any bottles of beer.
We can make that happen.
The bottles that I do have are 2-liter bottles, and that's not going to work.
Okay, well, look.
My
Chesh,
boobs aren't small, but they're not that big.
Chesh, if it's for the boobs, I'm sure we can come up with something. All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks again.
Bye, guys. It was a fun time.